Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics, back at you with a new video. Today is Friday, September 27th, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $, ORIONNWSF, or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Oakland Athletics versus the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 10 minutes. So let's cue up the music, take a look at the thumb, and let's get into the starting lineups. Happy Friday, everyone. And on the thumb, on the left, we got Seth Brown. And on the right, our stud, Julio Rodriguez. Now let's get into the starting lineups here first for the visiting Oakland Athletics. Leading off for the Athletics in right field, Lawrence Butler. Batting second, DHing for Oakland, Brent Rooker. Batting third, playing center field, J.J. Bleday. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, playing first base, Tyler Soderstrom. Batting fifth, playing left field, Seth Brown. Batting sixth, playing second base, Zach Geloff. Batting seventh, playing shortstop, Jacob Wilson. Batting eighth, catching tonight for Oakland, Kyle McCann. And batting ninth, playing third base, Daryl Hernandez. And on the mound for the Athletics with an 11-12 record, an ERA of 4.43, J.P. Sears. Let's go, baby. And now let's get into the starting lineups for your Seattle Mariners. Leading off for the Mariners in center field, Julio Rodriguez. Batting second, DHing tonight for Seattle, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Batting third, playing left field, Randy Rosarina. Batting cleanup, batting fourth, catching tonight for the Mariners, Mitch Garver. Batting fifth, playing first base for Seattle, Dylan Moore. Batting sixth, playing right field, Mitch Haniga. Batting seventh, playing shortstop, J.P. Crawford. Batting eighth, playing third base, Luis Urias. And batting ninth, playing second base for the Mariners, Leo Rivas. And on the mound for the Mariners, our ace, 8-3 record, ERA of 3.02. You already know who it is. It is Brian Woo. Let's go, baby. And hopefully we have an electric performance. We got 3 games left. We want to make the most of the rest of the season. And it's only fitting that if this ends up being the last Seattle Mariner broadcast of the season, since we're going to be doing the Ducks and Bruins tomorrow at 8 p.m., even though I will be watching the Mariners. And then on Sunday, they play around noon. So I'm pretty sure this will probably be the last Mariner live stream of 2024. And it's only fitting that we get someone like Bryce Miller or Brian Wu, the two hottest late in the year. And I'm very excited to see if we can finish out strong with everything that has happened to us up to this point. Let's go, baby. All right, baby. Oakland Athletics versus the Seattle Mariners. First pitch is going to be here in roughly 5 minutes. And we'll shoot for 20 likes within the first hour, 30 to 50 overall, and obviously 100 in the donos on every single stream. And make sure you guys are taking care of your mental health, addiction, depression, anxiety. I used to battle with these things on an everyday basis. It was terrible. It was hell. But I made some minor adjustments, and I know that you guys can do it as well. Even if it's not something that you're going through right now, or if it comes and it goes, if you're having problems with addiction, depression, or anxiety, make some basic changes in your life. If you feel at this point that you're not eating healthy, eat healthier. If you're not exercising, exercise. Okay? Listen to 30 minutes of music. Spend time with quality people. Get rid of the toxic people in your life. Spend time with friends, family, and pets. And if you end up doing these basic things, you'll be able to turn your life around and get back on track, and you'll be able to win the day. All right, baby, let's go. So we're going to be doing this matchup here tomorrow. It's going to be a late stream as well, 8 p.m. Pacific, even 1 hour later than we're at right now. Ducks versus the Bruins. I mean, we used to have Pac-12 at night, and I guess we have Big Ten at night. Very excited about that tomorrow. And then on Sunday, we're going to end up doing the Ravens and Bills on Sunday Night Football. I may do the Buccaneers and Eagles at 10 a.m. Obviously going to be watching a lot of football. I'll try to pump out a couple reaction videos in the afternoon as well. And then obviously Monday Night Football, there's a doubleheader, but there's only one good game. And the Seahawks going against the Detroit Lions. That's going to be incredible. So we got a really fun next 3 to 4 days, and I hope everyone is having a good Friday, and they'll be able to enjoy your weekend. Let's go. Cole in the building. What's good? Brian Wu on the mound today. Toby in the building. Jags in the building. Duval. What's good, bro? Yeah, and again, I feel like with Jags fans, you've gone through this roller coaster where you guys were terrible for 2 years, right? Got Trevor Lawrence, got some receivers, things started to turn around, and then just as things started to turn around, obviously the Titans got worse, losing Derrick Henry, so you felt that you could leapfrog them, but the only problem is now is that the Colts and Texans kind of got as good as you guys, if not better, within the last couple years. And so now, instead of being at the top of the division, you're just trying to be able to get a win and not be the worst team in the division and get past the Titans. Because I think, with the Jags and the talent they have, they're better than the Titans, but you just got to be able to execute, play 4 quarters, and find a way to get it done. Because even if Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 10 quarterback right now, and he's playing more like a top 20 or 25, we know he's got the ability to be a top 10 to 15 quarterback. It's just not really coming together right now this year, but hopefully you guys can get off the schneid at some point, because regardless if it's fantasy players underwhelming or your favorite football team, nobody likes to go 0-3. No one likes to go 0-4 or 1-3. So I'll be rooting for you. But as an evaluator of talent, I think you realize that it's going to be a long year. And again, if you have to take 1 step backwards to go 10 steps forward, just like you did being the worst team in the NFL for 2 years and then got back on track, you just need to understand that if you do have a terrible year, right, and you don't make the playoffs, and let's say you guys win only 1 to 5 games, it could be a blessing. Not saying that you're going to draft another quarterback instead of Trevor Lawrence, but there's a lot of good talent coming in. So if you guys get a top 3 pick and are a bottom 3 team, it could end up helping you guys dramatically on the offensive line or on the defense. You guys got a lot of holes, and that could be something that, you take 1 step backwards and you go 10 steps forward, and then you can compete maybe with the Colts and the Texans on a regular basis instead of just trying to hold off the Titans and not be one of the 3rd or 4th place teams. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully things will go good for you this weekend. Let's go, baby. I know I'm trying to tune into a little bit of the matchups. We got the Huskies are down 14-3 in the 3rd quarter to Rutgers. And then obviously Cam Ward is going to be a 1st-round draft pick at quarterback. Used to play at Washington State, now is at Miami. And I didn't get a chance to see the score on that. I'll have to flip it through. But if you want to type in the score of what the score is there, as I'm watching right now, the Huskies trying to get on the board, incomplete on 3rd and goal. They're having a tough time. Yeah, and it's called Bays, and they have a booth inside Moda for concerts and the Blazer games. And my best friend got it at a Blazer game earlier in the year, last year, but they only had a limited menu. So we actually went to the arcade, played The Simpsons, NBA Jam, beat The Simpsons, Turtles in Time. We beat that as well. Played Star Wars, the arcade game, one of the newer ones. Had a great time. Then we went to Base Chicken, and the chicken, the crispy waffle fries, the homemade mac and cheese with the little pickle on the side. It was probably, maybe a top 5 meal I've ever had in my life. It was delicious, crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, but the fries probably have been the best that I've ever had. Extra crispy. They had good sauces, fry sauce, and then they had this like ranch sauce that kind of tasted like ranch blue cheese combo. And even though I'm not really big on the blue cheese like dressing, it's kind of one of those things, either you like that or you hate it. But it was like kind of ranch with a twist. And I was surprised, man. It was incredible. And after we did that, even though we were stuffed, we ended up going to Voodoo, which was just right around the block. The line was only maybe 20 to 30 minutes. We both ended up getting a half dozen. And donuts there about $4 or $5 a piece, but they're like specialty donuts, and they were incredible. So I had definitely had a good day off, spending time with the best friend. Gave him a couple high-end Damian Lillard player image socks back from the day. And I told him, if you want to wear them, you can, but I mean, they're worth like $20, $30. You might as well just display them. And then decided to pass down a Julio autograph graded card to him because, I have so many things in my collection, and I want to make sure that, at least if my best friend can appreciate that, especially when I already had a couple others already on the mantle or on the desk over here. So very cool to be able to, have a good time with your best friend, be able to have a day off. He works extremely hard at his job as well. And he got a chance to see Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins the day before. We hung out. First pitch from Brian Wu right down the middle to Lawrence Butler, 0-1 count. And then now he's at the beach eating Moe's and having some really high-end, delicious seafood. So I'm happy for him, man. The guy works hard, and I'm glad we got a chance to hang out. And here we are here today. Top of the first, 0-0. Brian Wu right down the middle. Ahead of the count, 0-2 on Lawrence Butler. I like that, baby. Pitch is high. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Yeah, too bad he got a concussion a little bit late, and he didn't put up the monster numbers I think that a lot of us thought, even though the Cowboy defense is suspect at times. I figured that Daniel Jones, and I know obviously Wandale on the other side ended up having a pretty good day, but a lot of field goals. I thought we would score a little bit more. And, my fantasy days, things really need to change within the next month, or I'm not going to be able to have any chance to get in. At this point, I'm not even thinking first place, second place, or third place. I'm just trying to get into the last spot if I can find a way to, gain some momentum and rhythm. But with so many injuries, big swing and a miss. Nice job, Brian Wu. But when you have your number 1 running back, number 1 wide receiver that are injured for a month or later, and then your quarterback that you draft and your tight end aren't doing anything, I don't know anyone on planet Earth that can have 4 number 1 spots not hit or not play and still keep up with the rest of the league. I think I did a very good drafting. I'm good, usually on the wire, but there's just not enough talent to replace CMC, Cooper Kupp, AR, or Sam Laporta when you're assuming that you're going to be getting almost 100 points out of those guys and you can't use them. But I am very proud of everyone else in the league. I think they're doing great. And if that means that I end up getting beat with my injuries and someone takes my spot, good for them. They've earned it. And again, I don't wish injuries on anyone, but it seems like we're getting more and more. Throw to first. Got him. 2 away. Man, it was incredible. Like I said, got a chance to play Star Wars, the arcade machine, for a half hour with me and my buddy. We did dual missions and then single missions, which was super fun. Did a little bit of NBA Jam, which is always a good throwback. We played Simpsons, and we've beaten that game multiple times, but we normally beat it with Homer and Bart, so we decided to go Marge and Lisa, do something different. Then we did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, the third one. Amazing, and we beat that. And usually when you beat a game, you'll get like $20 on this like little debit card, and then you just scan the front of the machine. So usually, depending on how long you stay, for a couple hours, you might go through $20 or $30, depending on how good you are. But we got to beat 2 quality games from beginning to end. Super fun. Got some amazing food. Then ended up getting donuts at the end. So it was a 10 out of 10 kind of day. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be jealous. Again, he is an amazing receiver. Had to leave the game with Micah Parsons late with the concussion, but hopefully he'll be back. And again, going into that game, he ended up being the #1 ranked wide receiver, and then we'll have to see how the rest of the receivers do. But it looks like he's going to be a top 5, top 10 receiver all year. And we know the Giants aren't a good team, and Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback, but Neighbors is an amazing wide receiver. So he's making Daniel look better than maybe he really is. And as long as he get plenty of targets, Neighbors is going to get a lot of points. That was a great chance to take on that. And that's something that I should have did. I love taking chances on players, and you took a chance not knowing really anything about them, and now it's working out into your benefit. And if I had a player like that, I know that would be helping my roster tremendously with all the injuries that I have. So great job so far this season. 2-2 pitch to JJ Bleday from Brian Wu, popped up, and that is foul. 2 balls and 2 strikes. What's the score in that game? 27-17. That's crazy. How's Cam Ward doing? Because he is looking like one of the top quarterbacks. He was good at Washington State, and they must be having shitty defense, and maybe he's got a couple turnovers, a couple picks, or a fumble. But Ward traditionally is very good. I think that Ward, Shedeur Sanders is going to be, Deion's son, and obviously he's got some big play ability, but we don't know how it's going to translate to the NFL for Ward or Sanders. But Ward has got, some swagger and some talent as well. So that is a little shocking that they're losing by 10. Man, you have no idea, because we were thinking either pizza, burgers, tacos, or something else. But since my buddy, nice punch out, Woo, there we go, retired the side, 1, 2, 3. But he's like, you know what? I had Bays at the Moda. We should try to find the restaurant. And lo and behold, the fancy restaurant that we went into, we were like, wow, this is awesome. And then when the food came out, it was just right there, right out of the oven. I'd have never had fries that crispy and that tasty with flavor ever. And I will definitely be coming back to that location. And like I said, I sent it over to a few of my friends across the country, and they were like, wow. And of course, every single state is going to do things differently based on seafood or chicken or whatever, meals that you're looking at. And again, there's going to be some Midwest locations and places in Texas or, in Chicago or maybe in the East Coast or in the South that will be superior to somewhere like Oregon, California, or Washington. But we do have some places here because we have a lot of diversity. So you get a lot of different cultures and backgrounds and races that bring their food with different food carts and locations. And again, the food cart kind of craze, a big portion of that started, here in the Pacific Northwest. And it was amazing, man. But I was a little taken aback. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was, but on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 20. Probably best meal I've had in my life. And usually the meals that I end up having with my best friend, whether it's at Moe's or when we end up going somewhere, it's just like the mac and cheese was homemade, on point, multiple cheeses, incredible. It's just hard to describe it unless you end up having like a high end. And there's a lot of even places that do fast food like Popeyes, where you can get a mac and cheese and it can be good if it's made fresh. But when you get it at a restaurant, man, very good, man. Crispy fries, amazing. The sauces, amazing. And the chicken was amazing as well. They go through the layers, of the different levels of hot, crispy, getting in there and getting the juicy. I definitely needed that. It was very, very good. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, but it's starting to look like he might miss the whole year. They lied. They weren't truthful at the beginning of the year on how bad it was. So, 27-24. Julio leading off. Back, all the way to the wall, and Lawrence Butler robs a home run. Wow. Of course, Lawrence Butler trying to rob home runs from Julio. One away. Nice job in the previous inning there by Brian Wu, getting the job done, retiring the side. Man, Julio getting robbed by Butler. Butler's an athlete. Next up, DHing Cal Raleigh. Let's go, Big Dumper. At least the game is closer now. Maybe I should turn on that game instead of going into the Washington game. But I love keeping track of like the Pac-12 teams. I like to be able to see where they're at, talent-wise, and I'm always going to root for those teams no matter what. We might be broken up, and some of us are still in the Pac-12, some of us are in the Big Ten, some of us are in the Big 12, but I'm always going to root for those teams as long as they're not playing my team. Cal Raleigh, big swing and a miss, behind in the count 0-2. Yeah, well, injuries can happen on any given, time to any given player. Obviously, Madden curse feels like it's real as well. But again, to be able to miss a week or two, that's what most people were thinking, that he would start right away, maybe miss a week, 2 at the most, but not 6 weeks to maybe half of the season or the end of the year, because in fantasy we only have 14 weeks, and then the top teams go to the playoffs in week 15 and 16. Last year we did best of 2 weeks, so then it would have went to 18. So if I don't get Christian McCaffrey back until week 10, where 2.5 months have gone by, I can only use him for a month, and by that time my record might be so shitty and I have so many wins to catch up that I don't have enough time. So and then Cooper Kupp might not come back until like week 7. So it's like I got to use him for 1 week, and then now I'm having to wait like 2 months for him. And then CMC might play, halfway through the year. Maybe he'll miss 3/4 of the year. Maybe they'll, have him out for the whole year. They're going to have to evaluate his body as the season goes on. And then he has the final say, with the trainers, because obviously they're going to be looking for, a Super Bowl. So if they don't, feel that he's ready, they're not going to rush him. And Jordan Mason, the backup, actually has been a pretty good running back, but it's not Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey was averaging number 1 last year, 25 points a game, and had potential for 40, 50, 55 points in a single matchup. Cal dribbles that one foul towards third base. Count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. But Jordan Mason, typically is 10 to about 20. So it's like, the drop-off isn't going from, oh my God, best player in fantasy to some scrub. But sometimes you're not going to be able to win with 10 points from your running back. Like you're going to try to be able to get 15 and higher to give yourself a chance, either RB1, RB2, or flex. So, but again, I just didn't think I would have so many problems, with star running back out, star wide receiver out, and then AR and Laporta have been terrible this year, and I didn't anticipate that. I thought, Laporta would give me 10 to 15 a game. AR would give me 15 to 25 every game, running and throwing, and that hasn't been the case. I've been getting like 5 points, in the last 2 weeks out of AR, and Laporta has been averaging 3 to 5. How am I supposed to win with totals like that? And the answer is you don't, and you start losing over and over and over. But I'm not going to give up, and I am going to be shooting for a realistic 4th place just to see if I can get into the playoffs, considering how bad my team is roughed up now. Popped up, 2 away. Down goes Cal Raleigh. Well, Laporta was the number 1 tight end last year, so there was no indication that, and he just got hurt last week, but they're just not giving him the targets. And a lot of tight ends and, quarterbacks have not played well this year, but the tight end position is probably the worst it's ever been within the first month. I've never seen so many tight ends getting hurt or so many tight ends putting up under 10 points. And some of them are putting up 3 to 5 like Laporta. And that's crazy unless you have Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, George Kittle. If you're lucky enough to have one of those 3, then you're probably doing okay. But if you don't have any of those 3, you might be screwed up. So he's got 2 injuries in his leg. So we'll have to, see. There's multiple therapies. He just went to Germany to get like a second opinion and whatnot. So yeah, Kittle actually has been very, very good. With all things considered, as far as him and Andrews and Kelsey and Laporta, the ones that people thought were going to be, the best. Maybe Kittle was picked 4th out of those tight ends or 3rd, but that's probably the best big name. But the overall best are probably the 2 young guys in Brock Bowers, the rookie this year for the Raiders. He's number 1. And then I would say Trey McBride from the Cardinals might be maybe number 2. Bottom of the first, 0-0, A's and Mariners, nobody on. 2 outs. Next up is Randy Arozarena. And Randy, and that is it. End of the first inning. We're knotted up here at 0. Now, Huskies need to catch up here on Rutgers. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help your boy out. Rutgers 14, Washington 10. There we go. All right, we're at 12. We need 8 more likes to get to 20. So if you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Now we're at 14. The faster we get to 20, obviously the faster we can hit the algorithm and the metrics. So thank you so much. 6 more to go and 35 minutes to do that. We probably can do that. No freaking problem. All right, let's go to the top of the second and see who's up next here for the Seattle Mariners. Heck yeah, finally. Game number 160 out of 162. Next up, first baseman Tyler Soderstrom. Yes, Achilles tendonitis is the official injury that they're saying. So anytime you end up having something with your quad or your Achilles, obviously you have to be very careful, especially someone as an athletic running back as like Christian McCaffrey, because he's a guy that's going to not only run through the tackles and through the guards, and he can shift, you know, on any given moment, but also he's a great pass catcher. So he's a two-way threat. So anyone that's going to be that athletic to be a two-way threat, if they have a problem with their legs, it's like, you know, no gas in the vehicle, in the Lambo. So you're not really going anywhere. So they don't want to rush him back too soon, because obviously if you rush a player back with that type of injury too soon, they might play a game and then they might be out the rest of the season or another month on top of that if they re-aggravate it or make it worse. So they're trying to do their best. But I wish that was, told, because no one would have picked McCaffrey in the first round. You know, people might have picked him in the second round just as like a, value pick on the bench if he's out for a couple of weeks. But no one would have picked him knowing if he was going to be out for 6 weeks or half of the season. So I feel that almost everyone that ended up going down that path is not in good shape right now. But there will probably be, I would say, 10% of McCaffrey owners that will still find a way into the playoffs, but it's not going to be very many. So we'll see how it goes. Congrats, man. Way to get to the playoffs. I wish it was us, but, we weren't deserving, and we didn't win the games that we should have won, and you guys got hot at the right time, and hopefully you guys can, a little make your mark. I don't think anyone anticipates that you guys are really going to do anything in the playoffs, but you never really know, right? If you get hot and healthy at the end of the year and you ride that momentum, you might be able to knock off that first team that you play, especially if they're taking you for granted, and as long as you got guys like Screwball on the mound, right? Anything is possible. So, definitely excited to be able to see what you guys can do, and I just wish that we had a different owner and a different GM, and had a better roster. But again, I know at some point we're going to put it together, but for the time being, heartache and heartbreak are a thing that we're very familiar with here in Seattle. Top of the second, 0-0 A's and Mariners. Nobody on with 1 out, 2-1 pitch to Seth Brown. You haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help your boy out. And we'll always be shooting for 100 in the donos on every stream. Little dribbler. JP to first, to Dylan Moore. 2 away. Next up for the A's, second baseman, Zach Geloff. Yeah, Baltimore is kind of reeling. You know, right now it kind of looks like the Yankees and the Dodgers and Phillies are the strongest. But, you know, I wouldn't count out the Guardians or the Orioles, you know, there. But again, wild card teams, you know, sometimes they get hot at the right time. Geloff single to right. Nice base knock by him. Next up, shortstop Jacob Wilson. But I had a great time, you know, like I always do, repping the Mariners. And, you know, at some point, you know, we're going to get on a streak where our consistency is better. And we'll be able to finish the season stronger. And, you know, because, again, we don't really know. You know, Stanton doesn't look like he's ever going to sell. And if we can get a better GM, that's a start. But we just have to get better players. But if the owner is not willing to spend the money, then you just have to try to do overachieving with, you know, minimal talent, you know, and that's tough to do. You know, even though our pitching staff is not something I would want to trade any other team for, but the hitting, you know, we've got to be able to find better defense and hitting. Our infield is the problem. First base, second base, third base, shortstop. You know, catcher and outfielders and pitcher are fine. And hopefully we'll find the right combo one of these days. Top of the second, 0-0 A's and Mariners. Runner at second with 2 outs. Jacob Wilson, career versus Brian Wu, 1 for 2. One pitch, low into the dirt, 2-1 count. Two-one pitch from Wu to Wilson. Pitch is outside. 3 balls and 1 strike. Come on, Wu. Three-one pitch. Wilson crushes that one foul. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three-two pitch. And Wu walks Jacob Wilson. A rare walk there for Brian Wu. Come on, Brian. You got to focus, baby. We're going to finish strong. Playoffs or not, you know, I want to try to be able to win at least 2 out of the last 3 games here. Let's go. Next up, catcher for Oakland, Kyle McCann. Pitch is inside, 1-0 count. Pitch. Wu to McCann. Big swing and a miss. 1 ball and 1 strike. But we'll be doing this here tonight. Then we got Ducks and the Bruins tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific, so a late stream. That one will go probably all the way to 11:30 Pacific. It'll be a late one. And then we got Ravens and Bills on Sunday Night Football. Should be great. And then Seahawks Lions on Monday night. So a very exciting, jam-packed 4 days. I'm very ready for it. That one chopped foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch. Pitch is high. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Big swing and a miss by Kyle McCann. Brian Wu, nice job. At least we're getting some good pitching here, obviously, here this Friday night. Nice job, Brian. And if I could see anybody, obviously, in the last, stream for the Mariners, it would either be Brian Wu or Bryce Miller based on how they played. Nice job. Let's go to the bottom of the second and see who's up next here for the Mariners. Next up for the Mariners in the cleanup spot, catcher Mitch Garver. Batting second, first baseman Dylan Moore. And batting third, right fielder getting some playing time finally, Mitch Haniger. Let's go. Oh, no worries. It'll be exciting, though. I mean, obviously the injuries up front are going to be hard to be able to replace guys on like the O-line and D-line that are a little banged up, but we'll see what happens. If Kenneth Walker III plays, obviously still recouping from his injury the last couple of weeks, but, Charbonnet's done a great job filling in. But run defense, Detroit is like the number one ranked run defensive team, so they're going to have to air it out and be efficient with that. So hopefully it'll end up being a close game and it'll go down to the wire and we'll have some excitement on Monday night, because obviously we got one good matchup and the other one is almost not necessarily watchable, but thank God we have two choices on Monday night. I like it, because if you end up just having one game and it's a terrible one, obviously you're not going to get as good of ratings and people aren't going to be as interested unless you got fantasy players playing in that particular matchup. So I hope he does. Yeah, I hope he doesn't re-aggravate the injury. And I don't know if he's going to get a full load. If they're going to give him, 16 to 20 carries, you might get a few less carries, and maybe Sharbs will pick up the slack a little bit. Maybe it'll be a little bit more split effort. But however they do it, hopefully it'll work out for them, because they're going to need to be able to score points against Detroit. You're probably going to have to get at least, you would assume, over 20 to be able to win. So, which is something that they can do. Even if the run defense gets stopped, they still have enough weapons, at wide receiver to be able to make it happen, and defense. So pitch right down the middle for JP Sears to Mitch Garver. 0-2 count. Britt in the building. How are you? Missed you. Oh-2 pitch. Pitch is outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Mitch Garver. How are you? One-two pitch. Back. Yes, sir. Brett, you must have some kind of connection, because every time you come in, Mitch Garver does something good, and he just hit a solo home run. You got to be kidding me. You have like the most impeccable timing for Mitch Garver. My goodness. Wow. 1-0 Mariners. Like, doesn't look like anything's going to happen. Mitch Garver more than likely, will go 0 for 4, maybe 1 for 4. And lo and behold, Trident's up. One of the last 3 games of the season, right? Britt just shows up, and then Mitch Garver hits another home run and makes another big play. I don't know what it is about the Britt Garv connection, but I like it. Thank you so much. I think you are my good luck charm. 4 more likes to 20. Let's go. He's probably the least likely guy that you would think that would make a big play at this point of the season. But with that being said, within the last month, he's been a lot hotter than he was in the previous 4 or 5 months. So I guess, you can get hot. I guess better late than never, at the very end of the season, but we'll take it. And that's going to help us hopefully win this game. And we got a nice 1-0 lead. Thank you, Brett, for my good luck charm. Next up is Dylan Moore. Career versus JP Sears, 4 for 14. How's your fantasy team looking like? I know you've been asking me some questions the last couple days. Demo, line drive to third. Nice out there. Nice with the defense. 1 away. And I feel like with a lot of the strong quarterbacks, even when the matchups aren't good, big names like you said, like a Jalen Hurts, it might only give you, 8 to 10 points. But again, also have to monitor, AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So if those guys aren't playing, obviously there's other backups that can step up. So that would typically mean it'll be more of a heavy Saquon game and going to Dallas Goedert for maybe 10 or 12 looks. And they could still end up getting a good stat line and possibly winning against the Buccaneers. But it's kind of ironic. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are injured. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are injured. So I think that a combo of those players are going to try to play, but it would be kind of crazy to think if none of those guys played, the top two for the Eagles, the top two for the Bucs, like who would end up winning? Probably the Eagles, I would assume, but I don't know how it's going to work out on Sunday morning at 10. If I end up doing the stream or if I just watch the game with Paisley and do a reaction video in the afternoon. But that's why it's always good to have a couple options at quarterback. Normally have two. And if you're having really bad problems like me, you might end up having to roster 3 at some point just to be able to find the right combination of someone that actually hits. And I'm sick and tired of scoring, 5 to 9 points, out of my quarterback. I mean, I can't compete with that. I mean, I got to get at least 15 or 16, and even that's not enough. You want 20 or more, but the way that the fantasy is going this year, tight ends are non-existent. Quarterbacks, I mean, unless you got Josh Allen like Megan, then you're sitting good. But, unless you got one of the top stars and they're not hurt, there's not a lot of people that are dominating right now. And, if you do got certain players like that, obviously Allen and Hurts were my 2 top targets, but I didn't get a chance because they were already drafted before I got a chance to draft. So, but I know those draft individuals that have those types of players for the most part, especially Allen. He looks like the best quarterback in the NFL this year. Again, you get rid of the divas and Stephon Diggs. You get rid of Gabe Davis. You got a better running back at James Cook. You don't have to score all the points yourself. Running the ball and throwing. He's just, letting the offense, kind of come to him. He's actually playing like a point guard right now instead of trying to be like a Michael Jordan or like a Kobe where you're trying to score all the points and, take over the game. And I feel by Josh Allen doing that, he's throwing less interceptions. He's making less mistakes, and he's the number 1 quarterback in the NFL to me right now. Like, I don't think anyone is playing better ball than him. And again, they lost like 5-6 starters on defense, which is usually a recipe for disaster. Lost a couple wide receivers, but he's so good right now that it doesn't really matter. It almost makes me kind of have a throwback reminder of like maybe earlier in like Patrick Mahomes' career, where he was just making everyone around him better, and that's usually what the GOATs do. Even guys that are average or bad, you can make them look decent, with a great quarterback that can, give the throws perfectly right on the hands. All the guy got to do is just, be able to snatch it and be able to get those first downs. And, I wish I had a guy like that, But again, when you're the guy that drafts the 5th quarterback off the board, there's always going to be a risk because at that point you're looking at like AR, Burrow, and a few others. And sometimes those guys are going to be good and sometimes they're going to not be good, or they're just going to suck or be injured. So I guess it's just my unlucky year this year, but I still have faith that hopefully my season can turn around. But I don't know when I'm going to get another win. Popped up into left field, 2 away. Stay in the building. What's good? That's a smart thing to do because he can score with his legs. And then that will be a big target, I would assume, and I would probably going that route as well. If Brown and Devontae aren't playing, Goddard's going to get the looks. Kelsey's no longer the number 1 option. Right now he's probably, when they had Pacheco playing with Rice, he was probably the 4th option, instead of being number 1 like normal. So, and then sometimes he's even now like the 5th option or 6th where you barely see him get anything. So there's going to be a big Travis Kelce game at some point where he scores like 2 or 3 times, but once he does that, then he might have another 5 games of like 5 points unless they make an effort to get him the ball. So, yeah. Well, hey, Hurts has been better than the people that I've had. AR was good in week 1, but then I had Baker and then Dak and fucking Daniel Jones. You know how terrible it is when you have to have fucking Daniel Jones play for your fantasy team? That's when you know your team is like, and of course I would have loved to do AR instead of him, but he's got the number 1 Pittsburgh defense, and the last 2 games he's put up 5. Like, if I put him in against Pittsburgh, what is he going to get? A 3? A -0? A 2? Like, what am I going to get? So, I just got to pray that things turn around. Next up here is Luis Urias. Yeah, it's crazy, and again, it's all about targets. And also, if you've been watching, it doesn't look like he's that inspired. Like, he's kind of been like, I don't know if he's just, floating right now because he's, dating Taylor and whatnot, and he's just going that route. But, it just doesn't seem like the focus is really there, like it was in previous years. But again, if they end up making the playoffs, it's very hard to go against a team like that that's coached by Andy Reid, that has Mahomes and Kelsey. But this is probably the worst version of Kelsey that we've seen up to this point in his career. And I know he's got still good hands. He's just, a lot of these tight ends are not getting targets. And again, I think a lot of the tight ends are still elite, but if they don't get an opportunity to catch the ball, or they're only getting a couple passes, then they have to catch it and score. Otherwise, they have no value. Catching 3 passes for 29 yards is not helping my fucking fantasy or anybody's. Elias, in between the gap. There we go. Go, baby, go. Stand up double for Urias, baby. There we go. Ooh-wee. Bottom of the second, runners at second and third with 2 outs. Nice job, Hanny. Nice job, Urias. Next up, Leo Rivas. Let's go. Well, of course you are. You haven't had any injuries. You're one of the only teams that has elite players, and no one has gone down with an injury. I would assume things are going great, And again, that's what you got to pray for. You even reflect, as being the number 1 team in the league. He's had a couple injuries, but they haven't been significant enough to his wide receivers to matter. And when you have 3 of the top 6 receivers overall, then you're raking, you're mashing people. And even if Njoku has been injured all year, and you got a little bit of a Mixon injury, Montgomery is a good RB2 for a replacement until Mixon gets healthy, and he's got Kyron. So when you got CD and Rashee Rice and Nico Collins, he's got the best trio wide receivers. And when that happens, that means that in those receivers, he could end up scoring 60 to 80 points between 3 guys. Rashee Rice from Mahomes, right? CeeDee Lamb from Dak, and then obviously going with Nico Collins from CJ Stroud. So that's a part of it too. You got to have a good receiver with a good quarterback on a good team. And, he did a good job with drafting those particular running backs and wide receivers. And, as long as you can, withstand the big injuries, missing a guy for a week or 2, you're going to be okay. But if you're in my situation, where you have guys out for 4 weeks to 8 weeks, the season is only 14 weeks long. And that's too long to be hurt to be able to compete unless you have other guys that can put up monster numbers. But it seems like it's pretty difficult for me right now. Pitch is outside. 2 balls and 1 strike, and I don't wish injuries on anybody in fantasy. It's the worst ever, but I have never been hit this hard with shitty play as well as big injuries. It's like, how am I supposed to win when my top 4 guys are injured or not playing? Out of 4 out of 9 is impossible to come back from. So I'm hoping at one point or another, one guy will come back and then the other will come back, and then I can start putting up some at least respectable point totals where I'm not just getting fucking killed every week. And then even when I have like my good players in, and then a majority of them putting shitty numbers all together in the same week, that's not ideal either. 3-1 pitch with runners at second and third. Leo Rivas. Pitch in there for a strike. 3 balls and 2 strikes. For me, I think this is kind of a cop-out. They're saying, oh, he's double-teamed. But, the thing is he was double, triple-teamed, and, and he was still actually getting targets. Now he's getting double-teamed or even single coverage, but he's not getting the ball. They're going to Pacheco when he was healthy. They're going to Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy. and going on to Noah Gray, Justin Watson, like he's, not really an option. So again, when you go from being, number one tight end in the world and like the most popular and the most dominant, probably from, the Gronk era, since Gronk is no longer playing, right? And then all of a sudden you are the number one target. Then you turn into the number two, with like Pacheco being there. Then number three, because Rashee Rice is there. Now number four, because Worthy is there. Like, it just looks like to me, regardless if it's single coverage or not, he's not running routes with enthusiasm. And I don't feel like his blocking and his overall play, like, I just feel like he understands that he's not getting the ball, but the effort isn't the same as it was in previous years. And it shows on the product on the field. He just seems like not really motivated, and maybe things will get better as the season goes on, or once he ends up having like his big game of like 2 or 3 touchdowns, and then that'll might, spark something in him. But if he continues only to get limited targets and they're not in the red zone, you're only going to be getting, catches from the 20 to the 20. And if that's the case, and all the red zone stuff is going to other players, I don't know, man. It just seems like the value for not only him, but a lot of the tight ends is a little weird. Like I said, I would have never drafted Sam Laporta if I thought that he was going to get 3 to 5 points. I think a lot of us, had these certain expectations and whatnot, but I definitely would have went Bowers if I knew it was going to go like this. But again, when you end up being the number one tight end and you're a rookie last year, you assume that the player is going to get the same type of targets. So I kind of blame, Detroit's OC, because again, last year it was heavy Amon-Ra, heavy Laporta. And then this year it's like Gibbs, Montgomery, and J-Mo. So it's like they kind of switched up their strategy and they're going to other players more heavy. So I guess it's all Ben Johnson's fault, but it is what it is. Allie in the building. What's good? Yeah, I don't think I would trade Kelsey, but I definitely would put him on the bench. I mean, like right now I got Sam Laporta, and I assume, he's injured and I can't risk, waiting for him to either make a decision to play or not. So it's like if he's playing on Monday night and he had an injury, I have to go with Cole Kmet. And I think about 80% of the top 12 tight ends are out this week. So Cole Kmet was 12, but after all these other guys are out, he'll be in the top 8. And I don't really know if I trust Caleb Williams and Cole Kmet like Justin Fields and Cole Kmet last year. But again, as long as I'm getting opportunities and targets, at this point, I have to roll the dice, and, I got to go with the healthy player. Because if I just say, well, let's just wait for Laporta, and then they say, well, 30 minutes before game time, nope, he's not playing. I can't sub anybody in. There's no one else left to play. So I hate when you got guys that have injuries that play Monday night, because you have no alternative. You either have to play someone on Sunday, or you take a risk hoping the guy plays, like I did with McCaffrey at the beginning of the year. And then they said with an hour before the game, nope, he's not playing. And then I had to take a 0. And most people can't take a 0 and win in fantasy. So you definitely have to be very careful if you got anybody playing on Monday night in the doubleheader. Brian Wu with another K. Goddard is a great choice, especially with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith being injured. That's like, lots of targets. And unfortunately, when I played Chief yesterday, last week, who did he have? His team isn't very good like mine right now, but he had Goddard, and that was single-handedly the person that helped him win against me. So I wasn't going to win against him no matter what, but that was the person that had the breakout game. Just my luck. So. Yeah, it's not really Amon-Ra or ETN's fault. It's really, I feel like, the team and the scheme and the coaching, and it's just like each game is coached up a certain way, and they have a game plan on who they want to attack as like who's weak on the other side. So if they have weak corners, then they'll go to Amon-Ra. If they feel like the D-line is shitty, then there's maybe heavy, Gibbs and Montgomery. And then obviously J-Mo's got that top-end speed where they can go like Hail Mary and just throw it deep, right? So I think that hopefully Amon-Ra and Laporta's numbers will go up, especially Laporta. I just never seen someone be the number one tight end, and then now they're like not even using him. But lo and behold, the week that we decide to say, fuck it, we kept him in for 3 weeks, they got nothing, and then we put him to the bench, and then that's the week that they're going to blow up. And Laporta is going to score like 2 touchdowns on Monday night against the Hawks, and I'm going to have him on my bench. And Cole Kmet's going to get like a 5. That's just my fucking luck. But I can't risk it because he's injured. Now, if he wasn't injured, maybe I would roll the dice one more time, but I just don't know how many people can continue to roll the dice with a player that was good last year that's only putting up like 5. That's not 3 to 5 is terrible. I mean, I could get like a jobber tight end and get that much production, but that's what makes it tough in fantasy when you don't know what the OC is going to do. And I feel like tight ends have gotten hurt more than ever, and they've been terrible. And the quarterback play as well. I mean, we're getting a lot of running backs and wide receivers injured in the first month, and definitely been challenging. Big swing and a miss. Got him. Down goes Lawrence Butler. 2 away. Yeah, but the thing is that even though the ETN you thought would be a little bit better, you're fine. You're right. You got Derrick Henry. That could be your one. ETN, you could always replace with Dobbins, right? And you can go that route. And then you can go 3 wide receivers. You can use a JSN at the flex. And then you could always put ETN on the bench at some point if you wanted to. So you don't have to always do 3 running back or 3 wide receiver. You decide on who is the best fit at flex. It could be a running back or a wide receiver. So you can kind of play around, look at the matchups. Is it red? Is it green? Is it neutral? And you look at how many points they're scoring each week, and if you end up having to go Dobbins and Henry and ETN goes on the bench and JSN is in the flex and ends up scoring 15, then you'll probably still win. It won't matter, So it's a good problem to have when you have enough good players where even if a couple are doing not that good, overall, your team is good. It's just you got to be able to put those numbers together in the same week. And sometimes you just have too many tough defenses going against elite players, and they just can't overcome. Unfortunately, that's how it goes. Next up is Brent Rooker. Pitch is outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mitch Garver home run so far is the difference in the matchup to give us the 1-0 lead, lo and behold. Brent Rooker, probably the most underrated player in baseball this year. Top 10 player overall. Fantastic. Just on the A's. Let's go, Woo. Top of the third, 1-0 Mariners. Nobody on with 2 outs. 2-2 pitch to their best player, Brent Rooker. He would have made a great Seattle Mariner, but they would have wanted way too much for him. Yeah. And again, a little bit of a lower number, but you have to look at the defenses that they're playing. And you just have to look at the overall point totals week in and week out. So, it's like if you're going to be going against a tough defense and they end up putting up like an 8 or a 10, that's kind of what you have to assume. Someone that's playing a top, defense at running back, they may not be able to put up a 15 or 20 or a 25. It's just, it might end up being a tough matchup, just like with Walker and Sharps this weekend. They're probably not going to score very much. There's a chance that they don't score any touchdowns on the ground, and there is a chance that both guys may not even get to 10 points. There is a chance that maybe one does, maybe both, depending on if it ends up turning into a passing game, but you always have to look at those types of stats, week in and week out. And, but I mean, you got Allen, Etienne, Henry, St. Brown, Neighbors gave you 23, who's fantastic. Andrews has been your problem this year, obviously not getting the ball, but you can always switch back and forth between either Dobbins or Smith-Njigba. Seattle D has been good for you. You can either go Koo or Butker, and again, and you're always going to be flipping different players, in the bottom of the bench. But it's like your main core, as long as Allen, Etienne, Henry, St. Brown, Neighbors, Dobbins, Seattle D, whoever your kicker is, and then you got Smith-Njigba or Dobbins or what, however you want to work that. As long as a majority of that core, you should start being able to hopefully, win some more games. And again, Andrews hasn't really done you any favors. So again, I know you got Musgrave there. And again, even though Andrews might be more, popular, at some point he'll have a game and they're going to get him the ball. But you just have to be able to hopefully have some good ESP and predict the game that, he ends up doing well. It's just like in fantasy luck, someone does nothing for a few weeks, then all of a sudden you put Mark Andrews on the bench this week because he got a 0 last week, and then you put in Musgrave, and then Musgrave maybe, ends up doing halfway decent, let's say gets like a 7, but then Andrews ends up having like the breakout game and scores like 20 on your bench. Like, fantasy is weird. Like, you think you got it figured out, and as soon as you figured, oh, I got this figured out, I understand like how many times they're going to go to him, or you kind of have a grasp on how you think things are going to go, and then the complete fucking opposite happens. So, yeah. But you'll be able to evaluate and take a look. But I think a lot of people are scrambling right now for tight ends. So it's like, do you bench him? What happens if he puts up another, 0 to 5? Julio, back, foul. Damn, so close. But it goes both ways. Like sometimes you can put in Musgrave in, and he might hit and get you, 15 points and score a touchdown. But also you could put Musgrave in, and he could end up doing the same as Andrews, like little to nothing, like 3 to 5. So there's many different scenarios, and sometimes you can't do it based off name recognition. You have to look at who's the quarterback, how many targets are they getting a game, how good is the defense, and what's your comfort level when you look at the top 10 rankings this week. What are they? What ranking are they? And then you kind of make a decision. Okay, if this person's the 5th ranked tight end and this guy's 8th, maybe you go for the 8th and you take a chance. Or if Andrews is still up there, and you feel that maybe this could be the game that they actually get him the fucking ball against the Buffalo Bills, and then you go that route. But that's a nice problem to have when you really only have one problem, out of the whole roster. Just and it's not even injuries; it's just a guy that's not doing well. Shit, I would trade you at a heartbeat. Just having one position with problems and everyone else is healthy. Than having all my stars being injured, not even be able to use. That's terrible. Bottom of the third, 1-0 Mariners. Julio flied out. Next up is Cal Raleigh. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, please do. Help us get to 20. Next up is Big Dumper, Cal Raleigh. I think we only need a couple more. Last time we were at, 16? Yeah, I don't think I would drop him ever. I think I would just keep him on your bench, or you'll either start him or put him on your bench. Cal, back, on! Hell yeah! 2-0 Mariners, baby. And a little foreshadowing with the photo, and he does it. Home run number 32 for Cal Raleigh. Hell yeah! Way to bring that electricity, baby. 2-0 Mariners, 111.1, exit velo, 404 feet. Nice job, Cal Raleigh, baby. Way to get a homer on the last Mariners stream of the season. Even though they're playing on Saturday and Sunday, I'll be watching those games, but I won't be streaming them. Hell yeah. And I think he's one home run away from tying Mike Piazza for the most home runs in his first 3 seasons. He's at 91 right now. And Mike Piazza was at 92. So averaging more than 30. And again, Cal has a chance to end up being not only a Hall of Fame catcher, but the best catcher in this generation. Even though we have Adley Rutschman that will be more popular on the Orioles, but there's not a better home run hitting catcher or defensive catcher in the game right now. He's a Gold Glove type of guy, and it's exciting to see that type of development, even though we got a Harry Ford waiting in the wings. But Cal is arguably the best player on the team. If you actually look at all the things that he does, Julio will always be the most popular and he'll have the most upside. But if we're talking about leadership, consistency, defense, what they do offensively, Cal is the most all-around, player with Julio that we got. Victor Robles is fantastic as well. I like Luke Raley. But Piazza, 92 in his first 4 seasons. Cal's at 91. But Cal's only played 2022, 2023, 2024, so Cal's going to be able to smash that. Hopefully we can get it closer here. Let's go, baby. Yes, sir. If I was going to buy a jersey of a Mariner current roster player, it would be Cal Raleigh. That would be my jersey. I would get the City Connect Cal or Teal Cal. That's what I would get. And then obviously I still want to get, Teal Ichiro or some kind of all-star Ichiro from back in the day. Edgar Martinez, Randy Johnson is something I've wanted to always get with Mariners and Expos, but obviously you have to have money for those types of things. So, but definitely I already have a couple Julios, and I got Griffies, that I typically wear. A couple Griffies, couple Julios, but definitely Cal Raleigh would be the next jersey on the list. Then Ichiro, then probably Randy Johnson. And then probably Edgar Martinez, got to throw him in there at some point. And at some point, if I have enough money, I will own those jerseys at some point, but it's probably not going to be any time in the near future. Pitches popped up, 2 away. Allie, you got a big dumper jersey? What color? You got white, you got gray, you got blue, you got City Connect, you got the Northwest green teal. What color you got? Yeah, the jerseys are a little spendy, and it depends if you want to get screen print or if you want sewn. So I guess it really comes down to that end as well, you know. Because some of the screen print ones still are decent. Like my original Julio, they didn't offer the sewn one, and I was like one of the first ones when the website dropped it from the Mariners. I ordered it, and then they didn't send it to me. This was in Julio's rookie year. I ordered it, and I was one of the first ones online to get it and order in, but they didn't send it to me until like June when I ordered it in April, because they had to obviously make them, and they didn't have a sewn option for me at that time, and I wanted to wear it to the game in Julio's rookie year against Bobby Witt Jr. I was going in the end of April, and I ended up getting a Julio ball that game, but no jersey was able to be worn. But then later, when I went to go see Aaron Judge later that season, I had the jersey finally, and then I got the Aaron Judge ball with good luck. So, but then I also have a Julio jersey that is sewn in white, but it's autographed. So obviously I can't wear that one. That one's going to get framed and put on the wall and whatnot. So with like PSA, so. But I got a couple Griffeys. I got a King Griffey Jr. gray one from Japan, sewn. I got a couple different Griffeys that I got. The most expensive one though, I got the Griffey vest from 95, 97. So it doesn't have sleeves, and it's got the Mariner turtleneck from back in the day, and it was from like Rawlings. Now you have all this jerseys through Nike, but back in the day they had obviously the different brands, just like NFL jerseys used to be Reebok, now Nike. Back. And that one's going to stay in play. End of the third inning, 2-0 Mariners. But that one, I ended up investing in it, and I usually don't buy like used jerseys that often at all. But again, I was from a private collector. He's only worn it indoors maybe 4 or 5 times. No stains. Came with a Mariner turtleneck, back from 1995, and I think I ended up dropping like 300, 350, and now that combo is usually around 500 to 700. So it's not even a jersey that I wear outside ever. It's like in a bag in my closet. Every once in a while, I'll try it on and have the fit and whatnot. I've worn it to one game so far in Seattle, but it's like it's like Mitchell and Ness quality, and it's like literally it was the Mitchell and Ness jersey before the Mitchell and Ness, and you can definitely tell back then, even in the 90s, that jersey was like a $300-400 jersey. And not very many of them exist, and obviously here in the Pacific Northwest. But again, I can't really wear that one that often. So, yeah, well, that was an investment that was from years ago. I ended up going on eBay every year looking for like rare jerseys, and but I do have quite a few in the closet. Me and Megan both are pretty big jersey collectors. I think I have, it all depends on when you ended up getting your first jersey. But again, I've been, getting jerseys for over 20 years. So I got over 20 in the closet, almost an average of one per year. So I got Mariners, I got Blazers, I got Buccaneers, I got Oregon Ducks. So it kind of just depends. But I haven't really bought anything new jersey-wise in a minute. But that's a good Christmas or birthday present for sure. $175 for the white though. Yeah. I mean, even the screen print ones are getting high in price. But obviously, if you can afford the sewn, that's the way to go with college football jerseys, NFL or baseball. But again, it kind of just depends on the material that they're using, because some materials with the screen print is garbage, on certain jerseys, basketball, baseball, football, hockey. But there is some that they're decent, where like you have to actually like look close up and touch the jersey and realize, oh, it's not sewn, so. Top of the fourth, 2-0 Mariners. Nice job by Brian Wu so far. Next up is JJ Bleday. Big swing and a miss behind in the count, 0-2. Like I have a rookie year Levante David, and they didn't have a sewn version of that jersey back in the day. It's like the Buck jersey that they only wore for like 1 year. It kind of had that different design with the orange kind of at the top of the jersey with a kind of a weird looking numbers. But it was either buy like a fake sewn one from China, for $150, or, you end up getting an authentic, screen print one for like 100, 125. So at that point, it's like, I guess it just depends on if, you care if you're wearing something that's not like real or not. And really the only thing that makes it like fake is typically the patches on the arms. Usually the NFL logo and the name, as well as the numbers, usually they can fake that really, really well. But if you actually look at the fake jerseys that are from like overseas, usually the patch on the arm is fucked up. It's like the detail and the stitching is fucked up on it. But again, you have to like look at it close up. So if you don't really care about that, and no one's going to be like, oh, that's a fake jersey, sometimes the fake sewn ones are better than a legit screen print. So I guess kind of just depends on what swag you want to have at that point. So pitches inside, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Yeah, the screen prints. But I still got like my sewn Reebok Derrick Brooks from like, the late 90s, early 2000s. So that's already like 25 years old and it's still holding up. So, as long as it's through NFL and it's legit, the quality will be able to remain. Nice hit there by J.J. Bleday. Win picking up. Next up, first baseman Tyler Soderstrom. Yeah, that's the way to go if you have the extra money for that, for sure. Like, I'm never going to sell that best Griffey. We got to 20 likes. Awesome. Next goal will be 30. Popped up. Julio is there. 1 away. Next up for the Athletics, left fielder Seth Brown. Yeah, you got some cool customs. Most quality starts in the single-season Mariners history, 92 in 2024. 2003, they had 94. 2011, 94. And 90, they had the record of 95. But we just need some fucking run support. That would be great. But at least we got 2 runs today, so that makes me happy. Yeah, and once you go with a Mitchell and S jersey, you realize the difference between buying like a regular Reebok, Nike, Fanatics jersey, Adidas jersey. Like once you go and you end up getting one of those high-end jerseys, there's no really going back. Like, yeah, you can always buy another cheaper version of a jersey if that's all they have. But it's like once you end up having a high-end one, it's like, and you see the quality of the cloth and the stitching, it's like, wow. It's like exactly what the players wear, and you feel like it too. Feel like $1 million. Pitches outside to Seth Brown. 3 balls and no strikes. Left fielder Seth Brown in the box. 261 average, 1 homer and 3 ribbies this season against the Mariners. Crushes that one into right field. Mitch Haniger is there. And now we got runners at first and second with 1 out. We got to be able to stop this. Let's go. Yeah, good choices for jerseys too. Seth Brown from Klamath Falls, Oregon. That's awesome. Top of the 4th, 2-0 Mariners. Runners at first and second with 1 out. Brian Wu has done well up to this point, but we need to get a double play here to get out of this inning. Next up for the A's, second baseman Zach Geloff. Let's go Mariners. Yeah, I think Mariners can get to 4. Obviously we're out of playoff contention, so there's not really like a lot to be playing for besides pride in these last 3 games. But again, Brian Wu and Bryce Miller are our 2 best pitchers as of late in the season. If Kirby and Gilbert are on the mound, it seems like they give up more hits and runs lately. And Wu and Bryce Miller have been better in the last month. So and the run support has been getting better as well. So I would assume in these last 3 games, the Mariners will win 2 and the A's will win 1. But if everything goes our way, then hopefully we sweep them. But, we'll see. Hopefully you end up winning your parlay or your bet if you have them today. But yeah, I think normally we have to get to 4 runs, 7 to 10 hits to win anyways. So 4 to 5 runs is usually what we shoot for in 7 hits, and they're halfway there already, right? They're at 2. We got half of the game to go, so I would assume there's a good chance that happens. No problem, Rio. Have a good day, brother. 2 groundouts, 2 flyouts, 7 strikeouts. Brian Wu getting that run support that he needs, even though, sometimes it ends up coming from the guy that's least likely to do anything. Like Mitch Garver hitting a home run to set the tone, but, sometimes that's what you need to be able to get your rally going. Mitch Garver homered to center in the bottom of the 2nd, and Cal Raleigh homered to center in the bottom of the 3rd. So, and again, normally when we end up getting 2 home runs, that typically means we'll get 1 or 2 more after that. Usually 2 home runs will lead to a 3rd or sometimes a 4th. It's either RBI games or the home run game. And if we already got 2 solo jacks, I would assume that there's a very good possibility for 1 more. Maybe not 2, but usually there's always like a pairing of 3s for whatever reason. Jacob Wilson, 247 average, 0 homers, and 3 ribbies this season. Runners at 1st and 2nd with 2 outs. Top of the 4th, 2-0 Seattle. 1-1 pitch from Wu to Wilson. Wilson crushes that one foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sarah in the building. What's good? One-two pitch. Crushes that one foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I'm doing good. Again, got some Star Wars arcade game in yesterday. Played Simpsons. We beat it with Homer and Bart last time. This time, Marge and Lisa all the way through. Probably spent about a half hour trying to beat that game at the arcade, but it was worth it. Also beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time arcade. That one took probably about a half hour also. Was worth it. Got some NBA Jam in. Then ended up getting some really good food from Base Chicken, some crispy chicken, deep fried, with some crispy fries, waffle fries, best of my life. Throw to first. Got him. Got homemade mac and cheese. Pickles on the side, and then we ended up going to Voodoo Donut. Only had to wait about 20-30 minutes in line, and we both got 6 donuts, obviously a half dozen each, and they were amazing. So it ended up being a very, very good meeting. And my buddy ended up seeing Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins, obviously the night before. So had floor seats at the concert that was actually outside, not at the Moda, which was amazing. Green Day does a great job performing. And there's a reason why they're still global. And he said that the Smashing Pumpkins, they don't really like each other. Like the individuals in the band, they quit on each other. So they're in it for kind of just the money. But Green Day still has the passion, from back in the Dookie days and going back with all those iconic songs. And he said it was amazing. And then we ended up having the, good time downtown. Did we see some crazy people that screamed at us and some suspect weirdos? Yes, we did. It's downtown Portland. Some of that area is not the safest, and I don't think I would have gone down there by myself, and I know my friend Justin wouldn't have either, but if we have each other, we know that nothing will happen, and ended up having a good time. And now he's at the beach coast, and he ended up having some good seafood from Moe's, which is probably the most epic seafood restaurant that you can go to on the Oregon coast. They got clam chowder, shrimp, halibut, you name it, they got it fresh caught from that morning. Amazing, great sauces. You can end up getting a bread bowl that's hollowed out, sourdough bread bowl with the clam chowder poured into it, and then you can actually eat the bread as you're eating the soup. Amazing. So he ended up sending me pictures of that, and then obviously he'll be back tomorrow just in time for the Ducks and the Bruins. which will be on at 8 o'clock Pacific tomorrow, a late night game, almost like the Pac-12 at dark games that we used to have. And we'll be doing that here tomorrow night. And then on Sunday, Ravens-Bills. Monday night, it'll be Lions and Seahawks. So super excited for the next 3 days. It should be amazing. Pitch is inside. Now, bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Mariners. Let's go, baby. And if this is the last Mariners stream of 2024, it's been a great year. Obviously, we dropped the ball against the bad teams, and, you realize you have to beat the bad teams, and you have to be consistent. JP Crawford getting injured, Julio getting injured, Julio being bad in the first part of the year. I mean, there's a number of reasons why we didn't make it. Pitching staff was great. We had injuries in the bullpen, which is unfortunate. Not having Matt Brash all year definitely cost us maybe 5 to 10 wins. But again, the problem for the Mariners, besides the owner and the GM, which is a given, right, with Stanton and Dipoto, is having better players in the infield. First base, second base, shortstop, third base. That's a problem. Catcher and pitchers and the outfield, right, they're fine. It's the bullpen and then the infield. So at some point, whether it's Luke Raley or Tyler Locklear or Polo or Ryan Bliss, and obviously waiting for Cole Young, Colt Emerson, Lazaro Montes, and Harry Ford to come up. We need better players, and luckily, a good chunk of those players that are coming up that are in the top 100 in the farm system, one plays second base, one plays shortstop, one plays right field, and one can play catcher or DH. So it fills a lot of the holes that we have problems. And we'd have to, decide on some of these guys where, Haniger and Dustin Turner being older and Garver and, Polo and JP, we might not have some of these guys on the team next year or in the next couple years, and that might not be a bad thing. But I love to root for the guys that are on the team now, but we don't have a good enough roster hitting-wise to keep these guys if we want to make the playoffs. Like, we have too many weak spots, and again, on top of the weak spots that we have, what happens when, Victor Robles or, gets hurt, or Julio and Cal and Randy and Luke Raley are having off games? You can't have all your top guys off and then the bottom end of the lineup being even worse. You have to be able to find better players than the ones that we have, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. But knowing Stanton and Dipoto being cheap, not caring about wins and just caring about profits, they're going to do the minimal, and we have to overachieve. That's the only way we're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to do a whole lot, and we were actually surprised that they even got Randy and Justin Turner, and JT Chargois and Jimmy Garcia. Normally, the Mariners would just fucking do nothing. So at least they tried to make, 4 moves at the deadline. But Victor Robles was the biggest addition to the Mariners, and arguably the best player, most consistent. Obviously Julio, Cal, Victor Robles, and Luke Raley are the building blocks, those 4, as well as the pitching staff. And then hopefully at one point in the next year or the year after, we can get back into the playoffs and kind of figure it out. But I've had a great time, obviously, calling games for all the baseball and Mariner fans. But once the, obviously, Mariners got eliminated, we only got 3 games left. But I still will continue to do more baseball games as we go to the playoffs. Just it won't be the Mariners. We'll do some Dodger games for sure. I assume we'll do some Yankees. I definitely want to be able to watch Judge and Ohtani, and then we'll kind of go from there. JP, a little dribbler, throw to first, and that is the end of the 4th inning, 2-0 Mariners. Let's see who's up next here in the top of the 5th for the Athletics. But my goal going in was to be, the number 1, streamer for the Mariners and to be the most consistent. And I wanted to be able to do about 150 out of the 162 games. I haven't got a chance to go back and count to see exactly how many I did. I know I'm over 100, but I just don't know how close I am to 150. And I thought there would be a few that might get missed, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. games, or if there was like a WWE pay-per-view, we decided to do that instead. But for the most part, we did more Mariners streams than anyone on YouTube, and that will be something that will always happen. We'll be full-time for Mariners, full-time for the Oregon Ducks, we'll sprinkle in some Tampa Bay, a lot of NFL games, Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, reaction videos. We'll go into the Kraken during NHL season, but you may see, Stars, Avalanche, Golden Knight stream here and there with some of the other teams if the Kraken have a day off. So again, we're going to be doing a little bit of everything. WWE pay-per-views once a month, and then Netflix is going to get WWE Monday Night Raw, and we'll probably do Monday Night Raw watch parties. Because if it's going to be on Netflix and everyone can watch it at the same time, why not? If we have a shitty Monday Night Football matchup, boom, that's another option. If it's not football season and we're looking for something to do other than, hockey or the NBA, boom, we have something on that particular Monday. So I'm looking forward to adding that. So we end up having a few more wrestling streams on the channel instead of just doing one a month for the WWE, which is kind of exciting. And, we'll see kind of how things go. We obviously know that football just got ramped up. Baseball and NASCAR are kind of coming to an end, and then that'll open up the door more for NHL and the NBA. But definitely wanting to see what happens here in 2024 and who ends up winning the World Series. All right, we're at 23. We need 7 more likes to get to 30. If you haven't smashed the like button yet, please do. We want to try to get to 30 to 50 overall, and we'll try to shoot for 100 in the donos on every single stream, and we'll hopefully get a dono train started at some point. Great job by Brian Wu so far. Next up for the Athletics catcher, Kyle McCann. Big swing and a miss behind in the count 0-2. No balls and 2 strikes. And I was kind of hoping that the Ducks and the Bruins were going to be on at 5 p.m. Pacific, not 8, because that means that by the time the game gets over, it'll be like 11:30 Pacific, which will be like 1:30 or 2:30 in the morning on obviously the next, Sunday. So a few more hours after that, people in the Midwest and East Coast got to wake up for NFL games. So not really ideal to have a game on that late, but it definitely gives me Pac-12 dark kind of vibes, being on an 8 p.m. start, but 10 p.m. if you're in the Midwest, 11 p.m. if you're on the East Coast. But hopefully we mollywop the Bruins, which I feel we will. And even though it's on the road, it'll be probably pretty close early. And then I imagine we'll pull away, as the game goes on into the second quarter and third quarter. But you never know. If the offensive line plays like shit, we might lose. So, but hopefully they end up playing well. No, I did not see that. What was the deal on that? Pitches inside. Got him. Kyle McCann. See you later. Another punch out by Brian Wu. There we go, baby. Nice job, Brian. Eighth K, 4.1 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 8 Ks. He might actually get to 10 Ks on the last Mariner stream for the NWSF. Let's go. Fantastic. Nice job, Wu. Way to bring that electricity. And again, for me to be able to do one last game, I was hoping it would be Wu or Miller because they have been the best lately. Kirby and Gilbert are a bigger name, but they've struggled at the end of the year. Wu and Miller are actually the 2 best pitchers on the squad, at this point in the season. Kirby and Gilbert might have started at the top, but they didn't finish at the top. I mean, we still got a good roster. Castillo got hurt, and he's obviously 5th, but I think if we're going based off pecking order, I would say Miller 1, Wu 2, Kirby 3, Gilbert 4, and then Munoz 5 because he's injured now, obviously. But that's pretty wild to think, that our 4 and 5 pitcher are now 1 and 2. So it shows you how much talent that this fucking team has. Pretty amazing. Top of the 5th, 2-0 Mariners. Nobody on with 2 outs. Next up is Lawrence Butler. Oh, 1 pitch to Butler. Butler is an amazing player too. Diving catch by Randy. Wow. Way to save it. Randy has really started to come up with some really cool catches into the outfield. Great effort there. And like I said, if he would have dove for that or not timed that right, that could have been a double, maybe even a triple. Great effort there. There's been some plays where Randy has just been, looking up in the sky, looking maybe uninterested or not focused, maybe not picking up the ground balls or the pop-ups as well as he should. But in the last maybe 2 weeks, he's made some big game-saving plays at left field. Nice job, Randy Arozarena. Let's go to the bottom of the fifth. 2-0 Mariners. And if you're just tuning in the bottom of the second, Mitch Garver ended up hitting a home run at the same time that Brett came in. And we know Garver is probably the worst player on the Mariners, typically batting around 150 to 170. Not good. But within the last 3 weeks, he's been hitting some unexpected home runs, and he had another one today. I mean, who would have thought, right? Garver homered to center. That gave us a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the second. And then in the bottom of the third, Cal Raleigh homered to center to give him home run number 31, I believe. And so he just needs one more, and then he'll end up tying Mike Piazza for the most home runs in the first 3 to 4 seasons. So I said first 4 seasons, 92. Cal, 2022, 2023, 2024. And he's right there. So obviously, when you got guys like Pudge Rodriguez and Buster Posey, and those guys were icons and legends and Hall of Fame type of talent. And then now in this newer generation, Adley Rutschman is kind of the most popular. But I think, once the Mariners make the playoffs for a couple years and they see how good Cal is on a global scale, then people will start recognizing how great Cal really is offensively and defensively. And he might end up being the best player on the Mariner team overall. Like, Julio will always be the most popular and have the most upside, but will he be consistent enough to be a Hall of Famer? We don't know. Is he going to be able to go to more All-Star games than not? Like, if he plays 20 years, is Julio going to get to at least 12 All-Star games? Or is he and miss like 8 times? Is he going to be a good player like that, or is he going to be kind of more hit and miss? We'll have to wait and see. But Robles is the best leadoff hitter we've had since Ichiro. He's amazing. Thank God that he's on the team. Julio and Cal and Kirby came in all at the same time, so we love that. And then obviously, bringing in Randy and Luke Raley, perfect. But we still got a lot of improvement. Bullpen needs improvement. First, second, third, shortstop needs improvement. Obviously we'll see if we still have Dan Wilson as manager. Got to get Dipoto out. Stanton needs to sell. But again, for everything that happened, it is what it is. Yeah, he must be. He must be. But again, regardless if the team makes the playoffs or they don't, I'm built mentally tough. If I can still wear the gear, wear the chain, wear the do-rag, wear the hat, wear the jersey, and celebrate and root on the team for 20 years, knowing that they're not going to the playoffs, and then we made it in 2022, and we've missed it barely in the last 2 years. Again, of course, I would love for us to be able to make it, but things are never easy here in the Pacific Northwest. And if we're really being honest, we probably have the worst owner and worst GM out of all 30 teams in baseball. So for us to be able to overachieve and, not have the backing of a good owner and a good GM, that they are cheap and they make the wrong decisions, how do you expect us to be able to make the playoffs every year when you have that going against you? And that's not an excuse or a crutch. It's the real deal. If you actually look at payroll and you look at the decision making out of Dipoto and Stanton, you could definitely argue it. They are the worst. It's like having Dan Snyder on the Redskins, right? It wasn't good. It took forever for him to sell and to get him out of there. But the problem is I don't know if we're going to ever get Stanton to sell unless he passes. But then if he does, it probably will just get inherited to his family, and they'll still do the same shit. So same thing with like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys. If for whatever reason he ends up passing, they're not going to sell to someone else. They're going to keep it in the Jerry Jones family. Obviously with his son Steven and some of the others. I would highly likely doubt that things are going to change. They're still going to do the same type of stuff. So, but it also stinks though, because if you are a fan of teams like that, again, the teams always have talent. Cowboys in the NFL, Mariners in the MLB. But if you can't have the right management, you're always going to fall short. Just like the Cowboys can be a great regular season team. They can win 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games. But when they go to the playoffs, what happens? They stink. They hit a wall, and they typically lose in the first round, regardless if they're first, second, or third in the NFC. They just find a way not to get it done. Dak isn't a playoff quarterback. They just choke, right? And it happens year in and year out, even though everyone tells us on ESPN and FS1 and CBS and these, quote-unquote experts, the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl every year. We've heard it for the last 30 years. Last time they won was 1995. So at some point or another, if you keep repeating and doing the same shit over and over, you're not going to get different results, But I guess some people think that it's going to change, but we haven't been able to really see that type of change. But I don't think we're in that same boat as the Cowboys, at least. We went to the playoffs in 2022, and we have a good farm system. We need a better bullpen, and hopefully we don't spend money on free agents, and if we do, it's pitchers for the bullpen, and we bring up the farm guys. And if we do that with limited spending, we could still make it next year, but we have to be able to be a better hitting team. The pitching staff deserve to be in the playoffs. I don't think any of the starters hit an ERA of 4. We have the most quality starts out of any pitching staff. George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo. Castillo has been our number 1 opening day starter, but he's our 5th best. He's not even our top guy anymore. He's 5th. Like, he's on the brink of getting cut. So it shows you, like, the talent is there, but the bullpen needs a hell of a lot of work. Matt Brash is injured all year, so we'll see where that goes. But, we'll see with Santos and Jimmy Garcia. I love Troy Taylor. I love Andres Munoz, but we need more, and hopefully we get it. 3-1 pitch from Sears to Rivas. Pitch is high, and he walked him. Is that what it's like there in Connecticut? Bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Mariners. Runners at first and second with no outs. Next up is Julio Rodriguez. All right, we're at 23. 7 more likes to get to 30. And we're still waiting for the first Dono train to start here tonight. Bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Mariners. Runners at first and second with no outs. A great opportunity for some electricity here from our guy who's been hot as of late, Julio Rodriguez. Let's go, J-Rod. Let's get it, baby. Julio should stay into play. One away. JJ Bleday, nice catch. Next up, big dumper, Cal Raleigh. Hit a home run earlier today already. Can he do it again? We'll find out. And Cal's got the talent, at one day to possibly hit 40 home runs, and maybe he'll even get to that 50 number. Like, there's not very many guys that got the swing and the power, and I'm not saying that he would be able to hit 50 many times, but if Cal Raleigh ended up playing 15 to 20 years, and he ended up improving his batting average to, let's say, 270 to 300, there's a chance that he might be able to, get to that 45, 50 number once or twice before his career is up. 40 home runs is definitely doable. I mean, he's been hitting 30 every year. That's pretty amazing as a switch hitter, as a new catcher kind of coming onto the scene, and definitely deserved an all-star nod this year as a backup. Didn't even get, recommended. They supposedly had 10 or 12 guys that were better than him, which is bullshit. Adley Rutschman had a better batting average. Salvador Perez had a better batting average. But if you're looking at defense and home runs, Cal is much better than those two. The only stat that those two are better than Cal is batting average. And batting average isn't everything. Defense, throwing guys out, leadership, home runs, RBIs, that shit matters too. Bottom of the fifth, 2-0 Mariners. Runners at first and third with one out. 0-2 count to Cal Raleigh. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. We're at 5, 95 to go. No problem. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Little cactus jack. Bang, bang. Cal Raleigh strikes out. 2 away. Let me know what you want to do for photos, and I got you once you go into the break here. Thank you. All right, boy. Prayer Man, who's a big Eagle fan, $25 dono. Appreciate you. Thank you for all your support. I know he watches the reaction videos. We'll see if we end up doing Eagles and Bucks at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Thank you. Appreciate you. And again, for someone that sometimes isn't available on stream for the live streams, but will just be able to, send donos my way occasionally just for all the hard work. Always makes things better. Thank you so much. Prayer Man, stacks on stacks, racks on racks. Little cactus jack, bang, bang. Almost forgot about that. So now we're at 30, 70 to go. Thank you, Prayer Man. Appreciate you. Next up is Randy Arozarena, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And obviously, once we end up, if we end up doing an Eagles live stream with the Bucks, and I know I'll be able to get photos for him at that particular junction. 1-2 pitch to Randy Arozarena. Throw to first. As the fans boo. Come on, Randy. Great defense and great focus, bud. And even though Randy was probably the biggest name at the deadline, I think Victor Robles would be the person that I would choose over Randy, but I am pleased on how Randy has played as of late. 1-2 pitch. Got him. Low at the knees. JP Sears with another punch out. We leave 2 stranded, but we still have a 2-0 lead. All right, I got you. I don't think anybody knows, I assume he didn't quit yet, but again, we don't really know until he'll be on the channel tomorrow for the Ducks and the Bruins. But then, as he goes to work, if he is still working, then obviously he's going to be doing that, during the week. But we'll wait and see, if he can handle it and if he's still working there or if he quits. We'll figure it out. But I don't think anybody knows until we'll find out tomorrow. We'll find out if he found himself a pepperoni princess. All right, let me see if I can get you some Russell. George. Eight Ks for Brian Wu. Appreciate you. And even though he's not in the stream, we'll throw up an old school Philadelphia Eagle photo here, Reggie White, and I believe Jerome Brown, or no, it's Reggie White and Clyde Simmons. But I appreciate you, my guy, very much. And again, more of a football fan, big Eagle fan, and I really appreciate you very, very much. It's like every once in a while, like randomly, sometimes you'll just end up checking, like Venmo or Cash App, and out of the blue, sometimes, you'll get a person that will support kind of randomly, whether they've been on the channel recently or maybe not have been on the channel in a minute, or maybe they have, but you just haven't noticed because they're not commenting and they're just watching, or just watching the reaction videos. But whatever the case may be, I really do appreciate that type of support. Thank you so much. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Prayer Man. Two-two pitch to Brent Rooker. We gained a sub. 20 to go to 20,600. Appreciate anyone that's liked, sub, donated, commented, shared. Appreciate it. Ended up getting the Mariner bat, obviously for my buddy that went to Seattle, and finally ended up seeing him and dropped it off. So another collectible. I mean, I got an old school one from the Ken Griffey Jr. autograph, from like the 90s, and I was thinking it'd be really cool. I got a couple other mini bats of like Portland Beavers and a couple Ichiro ones, but it's always nice to be able to add on another mini bat to the collection. I think I have like 5 now, but this is the second dark bat. Obviously, I got other ones that are going to be more traditional, normal beige, like the Ichiro one and then the Portland Beaver one, but pretty cool. Good gloss on it. It's a good souvenir to get, especially for something that like you want to bring something home from a game. And that was actually from the doubleheader when my buddy went with his other friend. He went to 5 games this year, 2 with his dad, 1 with me, 2 with his other friend. And that was when they played the Mets and beat them like 6-0 and 4-0. So it's always cool to be able to get a souvenir, from a buddy or yourself at a game. And typically, lanyards, hats, t-shirts, mini bats. I like to be able to get at least something. And then if I do know that someone's going, most of the time I don't even have to ask and they'll just pick something up for me, which is nice. Doesn't have to be spendy, $10 mini bat may not be a big deal for most, but pretty cool to have, to add to the collection if you're a collector. I love it. Now, if the Mariners could actually just get a few more hits, that would be great. But I can't complain. We're not down 2-0 right now as we got Gabe Spire, Pat McAfee lookalike on the mound. Everything is going good. Brian Wu pitched an excellent game. We got eliminated because obviously we weren't as consistent as we needed to be. Oakland obviously played their last game in Oakland, I believe yesterday or the day before. And I'm kind of sad that they have to play in Sacramento as they wait for Vegas or another town to accept, where they're going to go next. But it shows you, if you have a horrible owner in sports, the A's have the number 1 worst owner. We have probably number 2. But obviously they're, what can you do? It's either, you take care of the fans and you care about them, or you clearly don't, and again, I would be ashamed to be an Athletics fan, based on everything that happened there in Oakland. Terrible, terrible owners in sports ruin it for everyone else. And even though we're not moving, we're not going to move out of Seattle. But again, Stanton, similar type of owner as Oakland, doesn't really care. But he's on a worse level as far as like payroll and whatnot. It's all about profits and not caring about building a contender. And that's terrible. And then the Oakland fans boycotted. So a lot of the season ticket holders in the last couple of years haven't been going. So if you've actually been looking at attendance in the last couple of years, for a place in Oakland Coliseum that could hold 30, 40, 50,000, there were legitimate games where they were only getting like a couple thousand, like 1,000 fans or 2,000 out of a place that could hold 30,000 that shows that they didn't, if you wanted to get a souvenir, that was the best stadium to go to because no one was there. You literally could probably end up with a ball almost every game if you were lucky enough to be in the right section, but I feel bad for the players. I mean, imagine being a professional baseball player and then looking out in your stadium and like nobody's there. That would stink. They deserve better. The Oakland fans deserve better. And, I don't know if, going to Vegas is really the right answer. They have more money there and there'll be a lot of drunks that'll, probably sell that place out. So at least they'll get the fan support. But, as far as the owner is concerned, terrible. Top of the sixth, 2-0 Mariners. Nobody on, 2 outs, 3-0 pitch to Soderstrom right down the middle. 3 balls and 1 strike. Nice. New Zealand All Blacks. 3-1 pitch, and Tyler Soderstrom is walked. Come on, Gabe. Next up is left fielder Seth Brown. Take it easy, Allie. Later, Cole. Yeah, it would be so much better if you could end up having a team, especially, if you live in like Connecticut or like New Hampshire, or if you're living out there in the Northeast, it'd be cool to be able to have something where you're actually going to get support from people wherever you live. Like, I would always love it to have a professional hockey team. I would rather have a professional baseball team in Portland first. That would be my, number one. Baseball first, then hockey. And who knows if it will ever happen. We only have the Blazers and then the Ducks and Beavers as far as, college teams that are, supported and whatnot. But it's only a 3.5 hour drive from where I live to go to Seattle. So if I want to go see Seahawks or Mariners, it's not that far. And then Eugene is only about an hour and a half away from me. So that's not that bad either. Lauren in the building. What's good? Captain Oreo in the building. What's good? Yeah, it's tough, bro. It's tough. I was about to say I was trying to keep up with what was going on. Did you guys end up, the Huskies lost? They couldn't beat Rutgers. Like I said, there's going to be some ups and downs when you lose a lot of, not only players, but you lost your head coach. So you have to remember, to think that Washington was still going to be the same team as they were with Penix and everyone else. You got to look at Culp left, the tight end, Jalen McMillan, Roma Dunzier, Michael Penix Jr., the head coach, some defensive players, the running back. So it's like, even though there's still something there, with like Jonah Coleman and whatnot, it's like you might need more than just that. So what was the final score in the Virginia Tech and the Miami game? Did Miami ever come back? And what was the final score with the Huskies? Did they lose by a lot? I'm going to look on my phone now, but that sucks, Captain Oreo. It is hard being a Pacific Northwest fan. It really is, man. Not everything goes, our way. But the thing is, when we get good, we're really, really good. We might be able to make the Natty or the Super Bowl, maybe not win it, that particular year, but we can definitely get there. But it's a lot harder. It looks like Miami came back and won. Told you, man, Cam Ward is something. 38-34. They got a little bit of a scare there. And then still weird for me to click on the Big Ten. And then Rutgers beat the Huskies 21-18. That stinks. And then we got Minnesota, Michigan with, I would assume, Gus and Joel Klatt. I'll be watching that in the morning at 9 a.m. Maryland and Indiana, Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin and USC. That should be a good game for USC to win and get back on track against Wisconsin. Ohio State, Michigan State, 3-0 versus 3-1. Ohio State should win that one. Illinois, Penn State, 4-0 versus 3-0. That's an interesting one. 19 versus 9. Penn State should mollywop them. And then number 8, Oregon, going against UCLA, 1-2 tomorrow. And I will be doing that matchup. But that stinks, man. I want the Huskies, the Bruins, and the Trojans. And this is me being truly honest. I want them to win. I want them to be good. The last thing that we want is to have 4 teams join the Big Ten and all of us stink. We want to actually have at least a couple of us, do well. And obviously USC and Oregon have the best teams. So we're going to still go through the ups and downs, but we should still be able to compete with Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. We might not win them all, but we're going to win some. And then obviously with Washington, they're better than UCLA. But again, they're going through the growing pains right now too. And that stinks that you guys couldn't beat Rutgers, man. You guys might need to fire the coach. Sorry about that, man. 25. Let's go. 5 more to get to 30. Yeah, that's true. And how far is it for you to go to Boston? To go, as I know you got the Benintendi jersey and whatnot, but how long of a drive is it to go see them from where you're at? 1 for 2 with a solo home run in the second. Mitch Garver. Rio's like, I need some fucking runs here. I need my parlay to hit. Pitch is inside. So Mitch Garver, 3-0 count, 173 average, and Garver actually got to 15 homers, believe it or not. He's been terrible this year, but in the last month, he's actually been pretty good. I don't know if I had ever thought I would say that. So pitch is inside, 3 balls and 1 strike. 2 hours. That's not too bad. 2-hour drive is, that's closer than me going to Seattle, which is 3.5. So. Yeah, I know you have a current parlay because anybody that comes in here talking about point spreads and, how many hits and runs, I already know that you gamble. You're not the first person to come in here asking about what I think or, if they're going to be able to win money. It happens every stream. So you're not the only one. I know who are the gamblers and who are not the gamblers. Oh, man, bad coaching. I only saw about a quarter of the game, and then I got sucked into this game, and so I didn't pay attention to the other screen as much. But it doesn't sound like everything was executed. How did the quarterback play? How did Jonah Coleman play? Well, how did the defense look? Obviously, it sounds like a lot of mistakes that happened. Garver popped up into center field to J.J. Bleday, 1 away. 3 field goals? Holy shit. So that's it right there. And bad penalties. Uh-oh. Bad coaching. Clock operator. Shit, that's not good. Sounds terrible. We got to get a new kicker. 3 hours to Philly. 90 to New York. Wow. Well, hopefully one day I'll get more donos and then I'll be able to come out that way. That's obviously something I would love to do. Bottom of the 6th, 2-0 Mariners. Like a Mariners-Red Sox game in Boston. I could wear the Griffey jersey out there. That would be amazing. Griffey and Benintendi. Demo and an 0-2 count. Bottom of the 6th, 2-0 Mariners. And if you're just tuning in, solo home run by Mitch Garver in the second. Solo home run by Cal Raleigh in the third. And that's where we're at. 2-0 Mariners. Popped up by Demo. 2 away. Next up is the other Mitch, right fielder, Mitch Haniger. We haven't seen him in quite some time. And it'd be great for him to be able to get a hit here, in his last game that we stream here on the channel. Even though there will be a game on tomorrow, I will watch it, but obviously I'm not going to do a stream because the Ducks are on at 8 p.m. against the Bruins. And then on Sunday, they're on at noon. So we'll end up doing the Ravens and Bills on Sunday night. So I'll watch the last 2 games, but this will be the last Mariners stream for 2024. All right, no worries. Have a great weekend, and good luck with the Hawks against the Lions on Sunday night. Or, Monday night. Monday Night Football. Okay. Well, if that happens, then, Oregon, Connecticut, Oregon, that's not going to be a problem then. You need to get on that sooner than later. That would be great. or if I end up, getting more donos and I end up making like a $50 bet, and I win it, and I win like a $100,000 or something, then there'll be plenty of money for plane trips. I don't really do a whole lot of the sport betting and whatnot, but if I were, you got to know what day to bet, and the number one day to bet would be National Tight Ends Day. If you end up betting on that day, but you got to get so many tight end touchdowns on that day correct, they're not going to let you just do like 2 or 3. You're going to have to hit like 5 or 6. So there's going to be like 4 obvious ones, and then you're going to have to take a risk on those last 2. And it might be someone like a Cole Kmet. That will come down to you, either he scores and you win $100,000, or he doesn't and then you don't get anything, or you end up getting a small fraction of what you could have got. So, but that would be the day to bet. I mean, if I were to bet, that would be the day that I would try to increase the money in my bank account. JP chops that one foul, 1 ball and 1 strike. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done too much flying. It's a little sketchy and scary, right? But Japan when I was young, and then obviously to Chicago. Obviously, not very comfortable with seats being so close to each other and kind of in a hunched over position. I guess it just depends on obviously if you're in normal coach or first class or regular, but. It wasn't ideal, let's just say that. To go from Oregon to Chicago and Chicago back to Oregon, it wasn't very comfortable. But again, depending on the airline and how much your tickets are, I imagine I could find something better than what the work paid for, based on our tickets. Little slow roll dribbler, flip to first. Yeah. Well, I guess then I'm going to have to do that then. It'll be me, huh? But like we were eating our food and I was talking to my best friend Justin, and I was like, Gronk and Brady, Chase Elliott, it's very rare to be able to have, and then obviously with the Benintendi and the baseball and then, the Mariners and Red Sox, it's nice to be able to have those common things, It's one thing for like, I feel like football or wrestling, you're going to get more people that will be like, have that in common. But to be able to have something like on the baseball, basketball, hockey, NASCAR side, that takes a special person, especially with NASCAR. And, I feel that is a very strong connection there, the NASCAR. And I know you're not going to get a chance to watch, obviously, because you got a fair to go to, but I will be watching for you. And hopefully Chase will end up having a good outing. We need a dub at some point or another, but I don't know if he'll get it. But again, it feels like everything is very, very close in the Cup Series. Let's go to the top of the 7th, 2-0 Mariners. Let's see who's up next here for the A's. Next up for the A's, 1 for 2 with a K, second baseman Zach Geloff. Batting second, shortstop Jacob Wilson. And batting third, catcher Kyle McCann. Let's go Mariners. Twins getting eliminated. That's crazy. They deserve to be in the playoffs too, for sure. Karl Anthony Towns in New York. Yeah, that's wild. Gregory Santos. Hell yeah. You need to put me out there. But it felt good, like I know with you, Britt, too, you got a good best friend that you've been friends with for 10 years plus. You may not see her all the time, but you know that when you do talk or you do hang out, not like anything is, missed time-wise. I only have a couple people that I'm close to. Like I used to have a lot of, acquaintances, but I kind of cut all those people off. So now it's pretty much just like my best friend Justin, you guys. I got like Joey and Jamie and their son Augie, but I haven't seen them in almost a year. But again, they don't live too far from me, but they're raising their boy, and I'm doing the dream and spending time with Paisley. So I don't really get a lot of time, but I did talk to Joey yesterday, and it's like, man, we got to, instead of saying that we need to get together, we need to just, I need to go over to their house and like barbecue and hang out for it, even if it's just like a couple hours. But sometimes just hanging out with someone for a couple hours when you haven't seen them in months, it really can turn your life around. Or just even sending them a message, love you, checking up on you, and again, not everyone is worth a love you, check up on you type of text message or call, but there's definitely a few, that we have as friends, right? And it was just really good to be able to, get the video games in, have some excellent food at Bay's Kitchen, which was great. The Bay's chicken was amazing with the waffle fries. Went to Voodoo. There was some crazy people that were out there, and they have a security guard out there for a reason. There was definitely some sketchy spots, but again, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And sometimes it's kind of nice, it's like anything kind of goes when you go to like Seattle or Portland. Like you never really know what you're going to see based off like a bum or a homeless person or a scary person or a creeper or just someone being weird or, but again, it's like people are drinking, people are smoking, there's live music outside. And as long as you're not in like the most sketch neighborhood, where there's like no lighting or whatever, you're probably going to be all right. Just it kind of depends on where you go. Chinatown, Voodoo Donuts, Ground Control, Moda, throw to first, 2 away. Reflect in the building, Jerry in the building. Sorry about your Huskies. I just saw that, with Captain Oreo, he just mentioned that. Man, I need to go back and watch that game from beginning to end. I saw about a quarter of it. Sucks, man. Like I said, I don't get any joy being a Duck fan seeing the Cougars, Huskies, or Beavers lose. Now, if this was me, maybe 20 years ago, yeah, maybe I would, but not anymore. I root for the teams to win as long as, they're not playing the Ducks. And I hate seeing teams drop games that they should have won. Rutgers was a game that was still winnable, but it sounds like missed field goals, bad penalties, bad coaching, just unfortunate, but I hope things get better for you guys. Waffle fries are delicious, and I won't lie, Bay's Chicken might have had the best waffle fries I've ever had in my life. And, 3 players ran into each other and they drop it. Unbelievable, Mariners. Come on. Communication, nothing. 3 guys running into each other. JP Crawford running into 2 other individuals. Now JP is limping, but there wasn't very many people in the restaurant, and Bay's is something that is offered at Moda during concerts and Blazer games. So my buddy had it, but it was a limited menu where it was only the fried chicken and the fries. So they had other stuff. You can get like strawberry lemonade with vodka, and they have other beers there. You can get the chicken and waffles. It kind of reminds me of Sisters and Brothers, the famous place in Seattle, with like the Nashville hot chicken, but the crispy chicken with the waffle fries, homemade mac and cheese, little pickles on the side. They had fry sauce, and then this ranch sauce that kind of tasted like a little hint of blue cheese in it. It was like a ranch with a twist. Very, very good. And it was probably one of the best meals that I've ever had in my life. Definitely top 5. So to go to Ground Control, played Star Wars, beat The Simpsons, beat Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, obviously Part 3, ended up playing NBA Jam, did a little bit of that, which was nice, and then ended up going to Bay's Chicken. We actually walked from Ground Control, and we had to walk a little bit, 5-10 minutes, whatever, but, had to watch out for some crazies out there. Had a great meal, then went to Voodoo, waited in line, got harassed by some homeless people and some scary people begging for money or begging for donuts, and then ended up getting a lift home. Gave them a couple limited edition Damian Lillard player image socks, that were still on the rack. And again, those are already worth like $20-$30. So I told him you probably shouldn't wear them. You just hang them and display them or whatnot. And I gave him a Julio autograph. I have 3 right now that I've acquired, and I figured, he doesn't have any. He's my best friend, so why not surprise him? And so ended up giving him a nice Julio auto for his very first of his collection. And he's a happy guy, man. We both try to take care of each other, and we don't get a chance to see each other that much, usually once a month, sometimes once every 2 months. But we make the most of every trip that we go on, and it was a great time. Daryl Hernandez in the box, top of the 7th, 2-0 Mariners. Reflect with the 20. Appreciate you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, little cactus jack, bang, bang. $20 holla. Thank you so much. With another $20 holla. Thank you, man. This is our last Mariners stream of the year, so it's nice to be able to get the support for all the hard work throughout the season. Yeah, we got eliminated. There's 2 more games, but again, I'm going to be doing the Ducks and the Bruins at 8 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, watching the Mariner game with Paisley. There won't be a stream. Last game of the year will be on Sunday at noon, and I'm just going to end up I might do the Bucks and Eagles at 10 a.m., and if I don't, I'll watch that, do a couple reaction videos, and then we're going to be doing Ravens and the Bills on Sunday night, which I'm very excited about, and then also Monday night, Seahawks and Lions. Captain Oreo with a 5er. Yeah, I was actually hoping that Boise State was going to win, as well as because I think they have a chance to beat Washington State, and I actually was really rooting for you guys to beat Rutgers too. So stacks on stacks, racks on racks, little cactus jack, bang bang. Thank you. Appreciate you guys very much. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Prayer Man, for sending a dono out of the middle of nowhere, which was nice. Popped up to Demo. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 7th inning, 2-0 Mariners. And if you're just tuning in, we had an unexpected Mitch Garver home run. As soon as Britt came into the room again, right, then Mitch Garver hits an unexpected home run. She's our good luck charm on the channel. She's definitely my good luck charm. And then 1 inning after, Cal Raleigh homered and got to number 91 in his first 3 years. He's only 1 homer behind Mike Piazza for the most homers in the first 4 seasons, even though he's only played 3. So we'll see where that goes. So we got a homer by Cal in the 3rd, a homer by Mitch Garver in the 2nd, and that's all where we're at right now, 2-0. So it's 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors, and then 0 runs, 4 hits, 0 errors. So we pretty much have dominated this game from beginning to end. So, man, I had some really good jelly-filled donuts, let me tell you. I ended up just getting 6, but I got 1 bear claw, and then I ended up getting one that's called Dirt that's got like Oreo cookies on the top with the white frosting, and it was amazing. And then they had this new one that came out, Strawberry Lemonade, where it's got the frosting on top, and then as you bite in, it has lemon filled in the middle, and it was amazing. I ended up getting 2 of those, and it's usually, maybe I'll do 1 of each, and I'll do 6 different kinds. But when I know something's going to taste good, and I'm really down for the jelly, like cherry, strawberry, or lemon, if it's filled, and then obviously I'd go that route, and then definitely had to switch up and get at least 1 bear claw or something else. But they have like 60 to choose from. So, I mean, there's definitely ones with cereal on top, cookies, but for me, I think that when I bite into a donut, like original ones are good, where you can just have the glaze on it. And sometimes I'm in that mood. But if I'm going to be paying $4 or $5 for 1 donut, it better have a filling in it. I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. Because if you're just getting the frosting on top, I feel it's like it could be delicious with the dough, but then there's something missing when you bite into it. There's no jelly. There's no strawberry, cherry, lemon. And again, those ones were amazing. Definitely had to do some extra walking here today. We're at 75, 25 to go. Yeah, why are they doing 2 quarterbacks? What's up with that? Popped up. 1 away. Urias is down. Hey, but that's just downtown Portland. Every location is going to have scary places. That's the only place that's like scary there, and like Gresham, but other than that, like in the burbs where I live, it's fucking beautiful. Like, there's no problems whatsoever. Like I said, there's, out of the whole location, I mean, you can go to Bend, you can go to Mount Hood, you can go outside, the outdoors, and have a great time camping or walking, with pets. If you want to go to wineries or breweries or dispensaries, we got that as well. But again, I mean, every location in every state is going to have a crime-riddled, dangerous area. It's like not any state is going to be all like everything is great here. Like there's always going to be one city that's a little suspect, and just so happens that there's got a lot of cool stuff, down there that is only available in downtown. Some epic old school restaurants or, arcades. And again, there's other locations like in Salem that have one that's similar, but, I don't know. Sometimes I like being able to go down there. I wouldn't live there, but I like going down there. Yeah, I guess so. I feel really bad for you guys. It's like you guys lost the head coach. You lost a lot of the skill position players. I knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I was hoping that, UCLA and Washington wouldn't be as far back, to USC and Oregon. Obviously, they're not same type of, talent, on the roster compared to USC and Oregon. So obviously you knew they weren't going to be as good, but I was still hoping for you guys to mollywop a lot of the Big Ten teams, to show that, hey, we might not be at the top with like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, USC, and Oregon, but we're still on the Wisconsin, Iowa, like in that next tier. We're right there, and we'll see, hopefully you guys will still be in that tier, but if you end up going below that tier to the third tier, not the fourth, the worst, like the third tier, that might end up happening, but I'm hoping that you guys will get recruits and the right pieces in line. Julio, and that is foul. Count remains 0-2. Yeah, I've already went on 2 walks already, and I weighed myself after eating the waffle fries and the crispy chicken and the homemade mac and cheese, and then those 6 donuts that are like $5 a piece. A dozen donuts is like $55. So it's like pretty much you buy 11 donuts and you get 1 free. It's expensive, but again, for me and him to be able to meet up like once a month, just for mental health, and he works for the sales department at a Batteries Plus that is like. They had a new ownership that ended up having like some of the locations, but the boss is like millionaire, and ends up having, tickets for Ducks and Blazers and Timbers and Beavers and Seahawks and Kraken and any kind of concert. So he's the one that I worked with, and, we both did sales for like Verizon and a bunch of big companies for, in New York and Boston, where we'd set them up for, cable, internet, and phone. He's not a scumbag. He's got morals. So obviously he's genuine, and he's really good at what he does. And I'm really happy that we got away from some of those other sales jobs, and I was able to do this full time as my dream. And he actually got to go to a company that respects him, pays him well, and he takes care of a lot of the big end accounts. And and he doesn't have to like lie or say something that's not true. You just pretty much you call, you see what they need, you let them know what's available, and then that's it. You don't have to be like a used car salesman. And it's always good to be able to find a sales job if you're in that world that you don't have as much pressure. Your job is secure, and you just come to work today with a good attitude. You do your job, you get paid well, and he had a great 4 days off. We got to see Smashing Pumpkins and Green Day, which was amazing. We got to hang out yesterday, did the arcade, Bay's Chicken, Voodoo Donut. Now he's in Seaside, Newport, or somewhere on the coast, and he went to go to Moe's to have some clam chowder and halibut and some, obviously, different types of, obviously seafood goodness that we have there on the Oregon coast. So, yeah, and then he'll be back home after spending the night up there tomorrow before the Duck game, and then obviously he'll have to watch the Broncos in the morning. He's a Bronco fan just like Matt is. So, again, it's nice to be able to see your friends winning in life, and also being able to meet up with them and, being able to kind of shoot the shit for a couple hours, and, be able to trade some gifts and encourage each other to keep grinding away. So, always good about that. 521 to 299 for Rutgers. Wow. How did Jonah Coleman do? And what do you think about that T-shirt and that hoodie based off the Jonah Coleman link I sent you? Pretty cool. Like, I like shirts that are like that. Usually you'll see a lot of like hip hop, individuals that will be looking for shirts like that. You'll see athletes that will be wearing those shirts as well. I thought that was very cool. Anytime you can get a collage shirt made, even if it's an off-brand and it's not like Nike or Reebok, it's just like a custom-made shirt where it's got like their face or them doing like action poses, scoring touchdowns, and then they end up making it into like a hoodie. I was like, damn. I was like, I'm not even a Husky fan, and I would wear something like that. Like, that was a very cool shirt. I mean, they had the two shirts, but the two things on the right were better. The black T-shirt with a bunch of Jonah Colemans, and then also the hoodie. I was like, wow. I was like, that's fire, man. And obviously, things not going Captain Oreo and Reflect's way, but the merch, I had to share that. I thought it was amazing. Yeah, well, it sounds like if it keeps going the way that it is and you can't beat teams like Rutgers that you should have, maybe he will get fired. And maybe that'll be a good thing for you guys. But the double quarterback thing, man. Yeah, but you would assume that the head coach will have a job for a couple years before they fire. They typically don't have a coach for 1 year and say goodbye. But I guess we have to wait to see how the rest of the season goes. Oh, God, he's a beast. 148, 9.2. Woo! That's why, like, with him and obviously Boise State, like, you can watch Washington games or Boise State, not knowing anybody else on the team besides the running backs, and enjoy it. So, clam chowder at Skipper's. Man, that's an old school restaurant. I haven't heard Skipper's being talked about in a minute. Wow. Big Ten running back leader. Oh, okay. Sometimes those small market schools still will have talent, on the rosters for sure. 3-2 pitch to Rooker from Sauce. Got him. Wow. Oh, my God. Brent Rooker getting struck out by Sauce? What world are we living in? Every time Sauce is on the mound, he looks stoned. He just looks like he just woke up. Fucking Sauce. Caleb Johnson, yeah, he's nice too. Let me know, Reflect, as well as Captain Oreo, if there's anything that I can do to help out for what happened tonight. Like I said, being a Pacific Northwest fan ain't easy. And I know Oregon will end up having their bad loss. I hope it's not this weekend against UCLA, but I plan on the Ducks losing at least a couple times. If we played like we did at the beginning of the year, we were going to be pacing for 4 losses, maybe 5, 7-5, 8-4. But since we've kind of figured out the offensive line, we're still going to lose a couple games. I would assume we'd lose to Ohio State and then maybe 1 or 2 other games. I think 2 to 3 losses is very realistic for the Ducks this year. If we end up only losing 1 or none, that would be shocking. Nice job, Sauce. Let's go to the bottom of the 8, 2-0 Mariners. I got you. We got you, man. Shout out to Megan. Shout out to Prayer Man. Shout out to Captain Oreo. Shout out to Reflect. Appreciate you guys. Athletic running backs in college football, just as fun as watching as athletic running backs in the NFL. Sometimes even more on the college side, because we know some of these guys are not NFL players. So if you're a beast, obviously you're making more big plays on a big game scale and juking the hell out of the defenders that have no answer for you. Obviously, we've seen that with Boise State's running back, one of the best in the country, Jonah Coleman as well. And as also with Caleb Johnson there at Iowa. I mean, with the running backs that we have at Oregon, it kind of makes me wish that Bucky Irving was still on the Ducks. How much better we would be if he was still there. But it looks like he's on the cusp of taking Rachaad White's starting job. And deservedly so. Rachaad White, I mean, I had him in fantasy. I had to drop him. You know, the guy's only averaging like 2 or 3 yards a carry. And it is possible that he ends up coming back and, you know, getting better. But Bucky Irving is getting less touches and more yards per carry. You know, Bucky can get 5 to 7 yards per attempt. Rachaad White's getting like 2. So at some point, even though he's a little bit smaller of a back, you have to understand that maybe Bucky deserves, you know, to get 15, 20 looks, and maybe Rachaad White only 5 to 10. I mean, maybe it needs to be flipped, and you need to go with the better running back, especially if the Bucs want to try to make the playoffs and have the best running back out there. Instead of just sticking with Rachaad White for 15, 20 looks and only 5 to 8 for Irving, and you know, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if the RB2 change-up pace back is the better back. So, Sacramento A's, yeah, until they become the Las Vegas A's. .218 average, 32 homers, 97 ribbies. Cal, dribbler towards third, throw to first. And he tried to run it out, but is out, one away. I would love for Portland to get an MLB team, and even Green Bay. You know, they're from, like, you know, the Bay and the Oakland area, and they were talking, you know, on the microphone when they had the concert, saying that, you know, that Vegas is a shit town, you know, that they hate going there, that, you know, that, again, that they would rather have the A's in Portland than any other location. So it's like even people in California recognize that, you know, like what we have here is unique. And yeah, there is going to be some suspect people in Portland and suspect areas and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you know, even people that are California all the way, they still recognize that, hey, you know, it would be closer to having a good vibe in Portland rather than trying to go to Vegas. And obviously Vegas is going to have the money and they're going to have the drunks and they will be able to sell out at what point or another, you know, you would assume. But to be in Sacramento for a couple years until that happens, it just shows you, you know, the A's are a mess. We probably have one of the worst owners in baseball, but the A's owner definitely is number one, and maybe we got number 2 with Stanton. So, but if we can get an MLB team, I mean, we're getting a WNBA team, and there's rumors that Sabrina's contract is going to be up around that point. And Sabrina might come home. And if Sabrina ends up joining the WNBA expansion team and leaves the Liberty, if that ends up being an option, that would be huge. Because if Sabrina's on the Oregon team, and then when Caitlin Clark comes to town, me and my buddy are going to go. Now, we're probably not going to go to a bunch of games, but once they come and, you know, if Sabrina's in the house and Caitlin's in the house, oh, I'm going. You know, we'll definitely pony up a few dollars and, you know, we'll watch a little women's basketball. We won't go very often. We'll go to more Blazer games together. But if that means, you know, good, solid superstars coming to Oregon, you know, if, you know, depending on if Sabrina's on the team here or not, you know, maybe we go once or twice a season. So A's of Portland would be great. Really. That would be great. I hope that happens. But what are the, it's not, I mean, is it settled already? They're going to be in Sacramento for a couple of years, but are they like for sure going to Vegas, or is there still like an opportunity for them to go somewhere else, like Portland, after the Sacramento thing, like if the Vegas thing falls through? Oh, interesting. Big swing and a miss. Michigan, Iowa, Indiana, USC, Penn State. I mean, Big Ten is a rude awakening, man. Now, if you guys would have had the team that you had last year, or at least half of those guys, you know, you guys would still be kick ass, I think, you know. But again, when you lose, you know, you built up a team for 3 or 4 years to get it to that point, you know. And again, sometimes when you have all those guys go to the NFL, unless you end up winning a natty, you're not going to really be able to reload unless you're up there in the recruiting. And you end up losing your head coach, and that always hurts too, so. End of the 8th inning, 2-0 Mariners. Ah, interesting. go to the top of the ninth and see who's up here for the A's. Next up, first baseman Tyler Soderstrom, 0 for 2 with the base on ball. And then batting second would be Cameron and then Zach Geloff. But I got to get a Cameron photo up here. Give me one sec. Got to get the Daz Cameron photo. So 0 for 2, Tyler Soderstrom. 0 for 1, Daz Cameron coming in for Seth Brown. And then second baseman, Zach Geloff. Let's go Mariners. Like, sub, donate, comment, share. Help your boy out. Let's try to get to 30. Where are we at on the likes? Are we at 30 yet? Are we close to 30? I don't expect us to get to 40 or anything like that, but 30 would be sweet. Where are we at? 3 away. We're at 27. I know some of y'all got double accounts. We need 3 likes. If you haven't smashed that like button yet, there we go. Now we're at 28. We need 2 more. 2 more likes before the stream ends. I know we can do that. 2 more to get to 30. Let's go. I 100% agree with that too. I was rooting for you guys to win. Washington State, we'll see what happens tonight here against Boise State, but obviously that quarterback, definitely has the ability to escape out of the pocket and run for touchdowns and throw. And just, execution late in the matchup. And again, when you end up going for a particular play at the end, either on offense or defense, you have to have everything lined up perfectly. And, definitely let that one slip through your guys' fingers. I totally feel that too. Yeah, but I would love to be able to have a pro hockey team and a pro baseball team in Oregon. It's like we're not going to get a pro NFL team because we already have the Seahawks, right? And we got Blazers and we got NBA and we love the Ducks and Beavers here, like a lot. Like there's probably more Ducks and Beavers than Blazer fans. And then obviously baseball, a good chunk of Oregonians are Mariner fans, but there are California fans, that moved up here that are going to be, Padres or Dodgers or, whatever. Maybe not necessarily Oakland A's. I think they lost a lot of their fans, but I think a pro hockey team would cool. Like we got the Portland Winterhawks for the WHL, which are a team that usually is pretty good and they win championships in the WHL from time to time. But a pro NHL team would be really cool. But I would rather have a pro baseball team first if it was possible, but who knows? .30 pitch. Yeah. Well, I mean, anyone that does Dodgers is going to get looks. And then obviously grabbing Shohei Ohtani, then you're going to end up getting the Japanese fan base that's going to be tuning in on top of that too. So, being a fan of the Dodgers definitely does have its perks. And then when you end up getting arguably the best player on planet Earth that's ever played, that's going to bring more eyeballs to the channel. So. And I know he'll continue to keep grinding. And obviously it always helps when you get things like that. You already were good and already a storied franchise with Mookie and Teoscar and Freddie. And then you bring in Shohei. I mean, it's game over at that point. Sliding into second. Safe. And he tried to get him there at second in the top of the ninth. Next up is Daz Cameron, Mike Cameron's son. That was close there at second with the tag from JP. Next up is Daz Cameron, Mike Cameron's son. Troy Taylor on the mound. Last time I'm going to be able to see him here. Nice. Yeah, usually, it'll fluctuate for me, but I'm usually somewhere between 8 and 15%, kind of depending on the season. So it's always good to be able to gain more female viewership too. So, I mean, I want to be able to get it to a point where we can be like 70-30 or 60-40, but obviously there's, going to be probably more dudes out there scrolling around on YouTube looking for sports than females, even though there are a female audience out there. But overall, I think there's less females searching for, games than at least for males. At least that's what it says statistically. So, but I would love to be able to get the female viewership up too. And we were also expanding in more countries, and I know Valhalla is as well. It's like, especially, not just Asian countries, you're going to get it, South American countries, and you're going to get it a little bit everywhere. But I'll be doing a few Dodger matchups for my dad, obviously, since the Mariners got eliminated. But I wish him the best of success, and, you just got to keep grinding away. Yeah, there's a lot of female hockey fans. I'll vouch for that. You'll probably have most of them on the football side, but then I would say number 2, if it was between baseball, basketball, or hockey, I would probably say hockey 2, then baseball, and then probably NBA. So, yeah. Hey, I'll take the good luck charm. Pitch on the zone. Got him. Jazz Cameron, see you later. Nice job, Troy. 1 away. And we know Troy's given up some home runs in his last couple starts. Usually solo shots, sometimes 2-run blasts, but hopefully he'll come out clean here, and we can end up, getting a sweep on the A's. At the very worst, I want us to go 2-1. I don't want to go 1-2 or 0-3, and hopefully we can. 1-2 should be the worst. 2-1 is what I think we'll do, but 3-0 will be great. But it all depends on, can we just get out of this one here and win and not give up this game. So almost hit Zach Geloff, 1 ball and 1 strike. Yeah. But it all depends on the connection you have. Like, like with me and Britt with NASCAR, the more drivers the more teams the more tracks the more interesting it is. If you don't know any of the names of the drivers, or, you're not familiar with the names, or who's good in baseball or hockey, you probably aren't going to care. It's not like basketball, or it's not like football or wrestling, where you don't really have to know a lot, and it can still be super enjoyable just based on the flow of wrestling, like WWE or the NFL or college football. So sometimes you got to have a connection for those other side hustle sports and whatnot. So, but I'm just happy that I love a little bit of everything. So that way we're not just doing one thing on the channel. Like, we're going to be doing many, many things, like whatever the main event is for each day. So 2-2 pitch is outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes to Zach Geloff. Yeah, and hopefully your injuries will stay minimum. And and it obviously helps that you got 3 of the top 5 wide receivers. You got Nico, you got Rice, right? And you got CD, and that's normally a route that I would have gone as well if you don't go running back heavy. If you go wide receiver heavy, you got to try to get those top guys with good quarterbacks throwing them the ball, and that's really what's carrying your team. Even though Mixon is injured, you still got Kyron and Montgomery to stay afloat and do well. You got good quarterbacks. I wish I knew what that was like. Having shitty quarterback, shitty tight end, and then having my number 1 wide receiver and running back out. I don't think anybody can win in fantasy when 4 of their top 9 are not available. Having to start Daniel Jones, I think, says it all. Again, it's like my worst fucking nightmare. Got him on strike number 3. Geloff, sit down. But I'm still hoping that I can find a way, even if CMC misses half of the season and I don't get Cooper Kupp until week 7, I got to hope that I can squeeze out at least a win. But by week 7, I might drop 3 or 4 games. But again, if I can somehow, by week 7, turn it around, even if I lose a couple more weeks in a row, that I can get to 4th place by the end of the year, Who knows? We'll see. I feel there's going to be a lot of teams that have similar records. Got him at first. And game one, number 160, the Mariners win 2-0. Let's go. And like I mentioned, right, the Astros and Padres, the most dangerous teams in the American League and in the National League. Don't be surprised if those two teams, end up making deep runs. And we may see one or both of those teams in the World Series. Everyone's talking Dodgers and Phillies as well as Yankees, but there's no guarantee that the popular teams get there. It's all about who's hot and healthy at the right time. First major league save by Troy Taylor. There we go. Final score, Seattle Mariners 2, Oakland 8-0 for the last Seattle Mariners stream in 2024, which I will watch the games on Saturday and Sunday, but there won't be any streams. And I got one question for you. When the Mariners win, what do? We fucking dance. Mariners win! Mariners win! Mariners win! Fuck yeah! Solo home run by Mitch Garver and solo home run by Cal Raleigh, and that's the game. Now, we didn't get the 5 errors like the Astros had, but even though it wasn't high scoring, I'll take it. And Brian Wu with a solid outing as well. When you can get 8 Ks out of 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, no earned runs, and 1 walk, I would have wanted to end the season on the channel with either Brian Wu or Bryce Miller, and it's only fitting that it's Wu. And awesome. Super excited, obviously, with the dub. Wish we would have played better to be able to be in the playoffs, but, it is what it is. So Cleveland and Philadelphia, that would be a wild combination. I don't know I don't know what the percentage would be if that were to happen, but definitely 2 of the top 6 teams overall, for sure. Let's go. Anything I can do photo-wise for you, Captain Oreo, or Reflect before we go? Anything I can provide for you guys? And then, obviously, I'm going to go take Paisley on another long walk. And then, again, we'll be doing the Duck stream tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific. And then we'll be doing the Sunday night game at 5 p.m., Ravens and Bills, which will be exciting. And then we'll be doing the Hawks and Detroit Lions on Monday. So 8 p.m. tomorrow, Pacific, so it'll be late. It's like Pac-12 at dark, but Big Ten in dark, right? And then we'll be doing a 5 o'clock stream on Sunday night, 5 o'clock stream Pacific on Monday. It's definitely going to be exciting with those matchups, and hopefully the Buccaneers can beat the Eagles, but we'll find out. All right, I'll put up just a couple photos here. Jerry wants a Jim Zorn. I got you. Normally we do that for Megan, but we'll throw up some Hawk photos. Maybe this will give the Hawks some good juju, even with the injuries. But with Byron out and Leonard Williams out, and obviously Detroit with their number 1 run stuffing opportunities. Walker still not being 100%, but Charbonnet's been good. Something special needs to happen, for them to be able to get the dub. They typically own Detroit, but, with the injuries now, it definitely gives a little bit of an edge, I think, to Detroit at home. Not saying that it's impossible for the Hawks to win this weekend. I am rooting for them. But again, they're going to have good special teams play. The defense is going to be a little bit better than it has been in the first 3 weeks. There's going to have to be something that happens. JSN, Lockett, DK, Charbonnet, Keno, offensive line doing better than expected. Defense coming up with a pick 6 or a fumble for a touchdown or a punt return or kick return for a touchdown. There's going to have to be some kind of X factor to be able to take advantage. And obviously we know that Laporta has been non-existent. He's got an injury. He may or may not play. We'll see. It could be a breakout game for Laporta, or it could be another 3 to 5 point performance. I can't trust him because obviously on Monday night, if he doesn't play within an hour before kickoff, I don't have a replacement. So I'm going to have to try with Cole Kmet, and hopefully Cole Kmet gives me more than 5 points, because 3 to 5 from Laporta 3 weeks in a row is fucking killing me. Same thing with AR. it's bad enough I don't got Cup and CMC, but at least AR and Laporta could have given me, 20 and 10 each. But I guess that's not what's meant in the cards for me this year. And I guess, my top 3 in fantasy streak might come to an end, but I'm still going to fight like hell to try to get to 4th. So even if I play Reflect in the first round and get my ass kicked, at least I can say, hey, look at what happened to my team, but I fought back and I got there. So I don't know if that'll be the case, but that's my goal. So, all right, no worries. I'm going to give you a little Better Call Saul then here to end. And we got a dub on the last Mariner stream, and that's what I was really hoping for. I want to get a dub on this last stream. Garver and Cal, baby. Great show. Probably going to have to go back and watch this too. I don't know. I mean, like I said, usually the pitching is the reason why they don't get there, But again, Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, they got probably the best, 4 guys in, a lineup on planet Earth. But again, can the pitching and the bullpen hang on? Again, if they have to play like the Padres or Phillies, I don't know. And again, if they end up making it, and we get a Yankee-Dodger World Series, with Judge and Ohtani, I don't know. And again, you can't count out teams like the Guardians or the Orioles or the Astros. Obviously the Tigers took our spot, and the Twins ended up not making it either, even though they were very deserving like us. But yeah, and all the teams leaving, San Diego and Oakland, to go to Los Angeles, and every Rams game is an away game. Like, I would have loved for, San Diego to have the Chargers, and Rams to be still in St. Louis, and I just Oakland to still have, the fucking A's. Like, I like being able to have teams in certain locations, for those particular fans. I don't like it when we have like fucking 5 teams in LA. It's just like, I don't know, I get it. Like, California is big and all, but it's a little ridiculous. But, we'll see on how it goes. Yeah, the Twins did choke. They had a better record than us and were better than us. So for them to get eliminated, and us, and to have a team like the Tigers, it shows you can be not a very good team in the first half, but then you have a good, all-star break, and you kind of come out of nowhere, and you got Scooball. All those young players started hitting, and look at, lo and behold, they did what we were trying to do. So it is what it is, but I hope that everything gets better for all you guys, especially Captain Oreo and Reflect, with your guys' teams. But at least we ended up with a dub. Hopefully we'll get 2 more dubs out of the Mariners. I'll be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Pacific, which is late. I know, 10 at Central, 11, obviously, East Coast. And it won't be over until like 1 or 2 in the morning, obviously, if you're in that part of the country. But it probably won't be over till like 11:30. Late night tomorrow, but I'm done the stream, and hopefully you guys can check in and hang out if you're available. And if not, Sunday night football, Bills and Ravens, 5 p.m. Pacific, Monday night, Seahawks and Lions. If you guys can't make the Duck stream, that would be great. And thank you to everyone that liked, donated, commented, shared. It's been a blast doing the Mariners and representing the Mariners on YouTube for you guys. And hopefully next year will be a little bit better. But shout out to Captain Oreo, Reflect, Sarah and Megan, as well as a few others to be able to hold it down. Jacob in the building as well. Jerry, I love you guys. And I got one question for you. Who talk sports like us? Your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Mariners win 2-0. Let's go. And I can't wait for the Ducks tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Enjoy college football tomorrow morning and afternoon if you can. And I will be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. for the Ducks going to California to play the UCLA Bruins. And I'm out. Gang, gang. Go Mariners!